It does, doesn't it? Okay, we can swap sides now. Jason, how about you try this time and make sure that the feet are parallel rather than turning outwards. You're killing two birds with one stone by turning outwards. You're also stretching a little bit of the inner thigh, the adductor muscle. All this fancy language. We can get to that in another episode. Good. All right, I'll stay with you, Jason. Our next stretch is a hip flexor stretch. The muscles at the front of the thigh. I'll get you to get on your knee for me and you to step back with one leg. By stepping back, I need you to tilt the back knee under. And what we're aiming for, perhaps if you turn sideways, the camera can get a better view. We're aiming at having the crown of the head stacked in line with the shoulder, with the spine and with the hip bone. And the back knee just tucked under a little bit. As if you're Michael Jackson. Now Mal, on the other hand, is going to take that same leg forward and kneel, okay? And push the hips through. Keeping the hips square to the front. And the deeper you go, the further forward you press, the more intense the stretch becomes, okay? We can swap sides now. Other leg. We're getting a great suntan today. How about you at home? Is the weather nice where you are? Good job. That's great. Such a nice feeling, isn't it? Our next stretch is for the calf muscle. All I need you to do here, Jason, is flatten that back heel and apply a little bit more pressure through the front knee, keeping the knee above the ankle. And all Mal's going to do is come back on both her knees and just simply push one foot back, creating a beautiful stretch in this muscle here. Now what I'd like you to do is very carefully swap sides. Can you do that for me? At the same time, lifting up through the midsection. Now if Mal drops her belly down, she's going to cause a bit of an arch in the lower back, and consequently that can cause a bit of strain. So there should be a sensation of tightness, but not a feeling of strain in the lower back. Gorgeous. We've got an Achilles stretch. Hold it there. Bend the back knee a little bit further, and you'll feel the stretch travel from the calf into the Achilles. Just in here, the little muscle that attaches our heel to this bone here. And all Jason has to do is bend that back heel just off the floor a little bit, and he'll feel a little stretch here. Takes a while for that particular stretch to kick in, but once it does, you'll know you're there. Let's swap sides, shall we? How does that feel for you at home, okay? Fantastic. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of a shakiness, sometimes it's the muscle that's a little bit weak. I hope you've enjoyed today's session as much as we have bringing it to you, and I hope we can have you again as part of our audience in the future.
Turning on your world.
Smelling nice and being tough can go together. The freshness of fabric conditioner is now combined with the best ever stain removal of Omo. New Omo, best ever stain removal with fabric conditioner freshness.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
Do you or don't you like the offer that I made you?
We all want to rule over someone. If I'm here, it's not for you, Annabelle. It's for Veronica Dantes.
I'm going to express myself with romantic words that are identical to your beauty.
Continue.
Veronica, I need to tell you that I am a widower.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
NTV, turning on your world.
Bagamba nti okusoma tekukoma era bw'okoma okusoma ddala oba oyolekedde obuzibu. Kino nno kyekituukiridde ku nnamukadde ow'emyaka 55 e Mayuge bwazzeeyo mu ssomero n'atandikira mu P1 ng'agamba nti ayagala kuyiga kusoma Bayibuli. Kwaniriza nnyo oli ku NTV akawungeezi eddakiika ebulayimu yokka okuwera essaawa emu. Nze Farida Nakazibwe katulabe emitwe emikulu.
Kitaaga kuddayo wansi updating register.
Tebannaluba ababaka ba NRM beevumbye akafuba akalala, ensonga z'ekibiina zibawuuba. Siyitibwangako mu kakiiko kakwasisa mpisa. Ssaabaminisita Mbabazi avuddeyo ku bugulumba obuli mu kibiina.
Ingeri ya Badru Kigulu n'akakiiko ke bagezaako okunyooma ebiragiro bya kooti.
Okulonda Lord Mayor Ssentebe Kiggundu bimwononekedde, bannamateeka ba Lukwago bamutwala mu kooti. Songa agambibwa okutta mukyala we ayogedde, agamba yamutta lwa kubaliga. Poliisi emukuumira mu ddwaliro e Mulago. Kwaniriza nnyo oli ku NTV akawungeezi nange Farida Nakazibwe. Tutandise n'ababaka ba kabondo ka NRM NATO nate yabazzeeyo mu maka go bwa President Entebbe olwaleero. Tukitegeddeko nti ebimu ku bintu bibagenda okuteesaako kuliko enkola ey'okusunsulamu abanesimbawo ku bifo ebyenjawulo mu kibiina eyakazibwako eri akamyufu gye bagamba nti teriimu bwerufu. Ebirala ebyokusibwako essira mulimu okwewala abo ababa bawanguddwa mu kibiina nate okwesimbawo ku lwabwe. Aba NRM bategeka kugenda mu kamyufu nga beetegekera okulonda okwa 2016.
Javuddewo katono nampala wa NRM Justin Kaswero Mumba yalangirira nga ababaka ba kabondo ka NRM abali mu Parliament bagenda okuddamu okusinkana. Guno gwe mulundi ogwokusatu nga bano basisinkana kumpi mu bbanga lya ssabbiiti emu yokka. Kitegeezeddwa nti ensinkana ya leero egendereddwa mu kuteesa ku ngeri y'okwongera okunyweza ekibiina. Ababaka era tutegeezeddwa nga bagenda okweba obuvunaanyizibwa naddala mu byalo obw'okugatta n'okunyweza ekibiina naddala eri abo abadde bakisekeeterera. Akafubo ka leero mu maka g'obwa Pulezidenti Entebbe keetabiddwamu n'abo abawangula mu kulonda kwa 2011. Twogeddeko n'ababaka bano nga tannasitula kugenda Ntebbe ne batutegeeza nti akamyufu k'ekibiina kalina okubeeramu obwerufu era nga bagamba nti Ssaabawandiisi w'ekibiina Mama Mbabazi ye yaviirako emivuyo mu kulonda okwaggwa.
Ayali akwata ku ebyo bw'oba incharge wa pate gw'ovaako omuvuyo kati twogerane ye yali incharge. Mama Mbabazi ye yali incharge, yali SG. Ye yaleeta omuvuyo senga yali ngali control ebyo tejandibaddewo.
Abalala bagamba nti ekibiina tekirambikiddwa bulungi wansi so nga abakozi batono era n'enkala z'abalonzi mu kibiina zirina okutereezebwa.
Updating register, then mutumala updating register, then kiba kituyambako okumanya bammemba bagenda okulonda abo.
Eyali yeekwatiramu ddala kugamba si yennyini eyali ku kulondesa, wabula abaakola omuvuyo be bennyini abaali mu kulondesa.
waliwo ababaka bagamba nti ekibiina kisana kifule kive omuntu okwesimbawo ku lulwe olw'okuba awanguddwa mu kamyufu.
Gamba nti omuntu akkirizibwa okwesimbawo wadde wa kibiina wadde si wa kibiina. Ate ekyabano kibaga nti nno nze independent naye ndi wa NRM. Ekyo tekiriyo. Bw'oba independent oba independent. There is nothing ti ndi independent ndi wa NRM. Ate ne president bino byagenda mu maaso n'alonda omuntu abadde independent n'amuwa bwa minister. Kati kisigala nga abantu kibagamba eri mu kyalo ngati one bwe tunamulonda nga independent ndaba wa NRM.
Kati kumbi kugenda kuwera mwezi mulamba ng'ekibiina kya NRM kyanika obuzina bwakyo mu lujjudde olw'ebigambibwa nti Mbabazi abadde ateekateeka kwesimba ku bwa president 2016 wadde ng'avuddeyo enfunda nnyingi n'akyegaana.
NTV akawungeza Minisita John Patrick Kamama Mbabazi atubuulidde nti abo bagamba nti alina okulabikako eri akakiiko akakwasisa empisa mu NRM balabika banyumyamu bunyumya kubanga ye tabimanyiiko. Omukulu ono agamba nti ezo ŋŋambo na bulimba kubanga tewali wantu wonna wekyali kisaliddwawo nti Mbabazi alina okulabikako eri akakiiko kano.
Sabbiiti ewedde NTV yakitegeerako ng'akabondo k'ababaka ba NRM akaatuula entebe bwe kaasalawo nti Ssaabaminisita Amama Mbabazi mukyala we Jacqueline Mbabazi ne yali Minisita Hope Mwesigye bwe balina okulabikako mu kakiiko k'ekibiina akakwasisa empisa. Mbabazi ne banne balangibwa kugezaako kutabangula kibiina.
And so the president and members of the caucus proposed that they go to SEC and then SEC meets them.
Mu lukuŋŋaana lwe lumu kyategeezebwa nga Pulezidenti Museveni bwe yaliko akatambi ke yaleeta ne kazannyibwa nga kalaga nga Mbabazi bwe yali aliko kakuyege gwakola okuvuganya ku bwa pulezidenti mu 2016. Mbabazi olwaleero avuddeyo n'ategeeza ng'ebyokuyitibwa mu kakiiko k'ekibiina akakwasisa empisa bw'atabimanyi.
There is no resolution like that. That's not true. I told you, if you are listening on Saturday, I told you that, that caucus meeting was a closed meeting. So when you hear people coming out and giving leaks, they are selectively presented by those who have some point to make, not necessarily consistent with actually what happened. So there is no resolution like that.
Kyokka Mbabazi akakasizza nti nga mmemba w'akakiiko akakulu ak'ekibiina ka Central Executive Committee oba SEC waakwetaba mu lukuŋŋaana olw'enkya mwe bagenda okuteeseza ku nsonga ez'enjawulo z'atayagadde kwasanguza.
But normally we don't publish the agenda of SEC.
Ye eyali Minisita Hope Mwesigye yavuddeyo dda n'ategeeza nga bw'ali omwetegefu okulabikako mu kakiiko akakwasisa empisa era n'ategeeza ng'ekyambabazi okwesimbawo ku bwa pulezidenti bwe kitali kivve. Wabula ye mukyala wa Mbabazi Jacqueline yagugumbudde abakulira ekibiina kya NRM nga bwe baagala okufugisa ekibiina omukono ogw'ekyuma.
NTV akawungezi kwokyali akulira bannamateeka aba Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago era nga ye Ssaabawolereza w'oludda olwabula gavumenti Abdul Katuntu ategeezezza nga bwe bagenda okuba akakiiko k'ebyokulonda mu mbuga asaako Dr. Engineer Badru Kiggundu nga bagamba nti ayitirizza okunyomoola ebiragiro bya kkooti nga nekyasembyeyo kyekyokutegeeza eggwanga nga bw'ategeka okujjuza ekifo kya Lord Mayor omwezi ogujja. Wabula bakulu mu kakiiko kano bagamba nti tebalina gwe bagaana kugenda mu kkooti.
Akulira bannamateeka ba Lord Mayor Abdul Katuntu ategeeza nti bakuba ekitongole ky'ebyokulonda kya Electoral Commission mu mbuga z'amateeka nga kw'otadde n'akikulira Engineer Badru Kiggundu singa bano bagenda mu maaso n'okuteeka akalolo ak'okujjuza ekifo kya Lord Mayor wa Kampala.
Tulina okussa ekitiibwa mu biragiro bya kkooti. Abatabissaamu bitiibwa nga kakati engeri ya Badru Kiggundu kyakola era amateeka galina engeri gye gababonereza era kye twagala okukola okutwala ne Badru Kiggundu aba asazeewo okugenda mu maaso nti amateeka gamubonereze nga bwe gagamba.
Gye buvuddeko ekitongole ky'ebyokulonda kyalanga nga bwe kyali kitandise enteekateeka z'okulonda okujjuza ekifo kya Lord Mayor.
Akalulu ako katandise okutambula era nga okusunsula abaagala okwesimbawo kijja kubaawo nga 31 March n'olusooka omwezi ogwokuna.
Bo bapulira ba Lord Mayor kino bakiwakanyiza nga bagamba nti ekitongole ky'ebyokulonda kiri mu kunyomoola ekiragiro kya kkooti saako n'okuyisa amaaso mu bawagizi ba Lord Mayor abamulonda.
Bannakampala tebagamba nga konti tebagala Lord Mayor wa Bannakampala tebagambako nti bagenda baagala mu Burundi. N'amateeka tegabakkiriza, ne kkooti nayo tebakkiriza. Kakati Kigundu obuyinza abujjawa okugamba nti ayagala kutegeka kulonda okulala, obuyinza abujjawa.
Bwaba ekitongole ky'ebyokulonda bagamba nti byonna bazze bakola biri mu mateeka era nti bannamateeka bano baddembe okugenda mu maaso n'okuwaba mu kkooti.
Teri court order etubuulira nti Lukwago ali road mayor temugezaako nga electoral commission okutegeka akalulu, teriiwo. Electoral commission kyetulina ku record baruwa eva wa mukyala Jennifer Musisi, executive director ate accounting officer wa KCCA, etulaga nti waliyo ekifo kya road mayor. Ebaruwa yatuwaabwa mu mwezi gwa Novemba mwaka gwawedde.
Wiiki ewedde ekitongole ky'ebyokulonda kyalangirira nti okulonda kwa road mayor omujja kwa kubeerawo nga 17 omwezi ogujja. Suhail Mugabi, NTV Akawungezi.
Webale nnyo Suhail Mugabi. Mu birala, poliisi Mulago ekitegeezezza nga bwekuuma butiribiri David Mulindwa ng'ono yagambibwa okutta muganzi we ebukoto mu kiro ekya Kesa olw'omukaaga. Mulindwa atutegeezezza nti ekyamuwaliriza okutta muganzi we kwali kubaliga. Mulindwa yagezaako okudduka yeesuule mu mugga Lubigi kyokka mmotoka n'emukoona era abazira kisa kwe kumutwala mu ddwaliro e Mulago gye tumusanze enkya ya leero.
Mu kiro ekya Kesa olw'omukaaga, poliisi yafuna okumanyisibwa nga David Mulindwa bwasse muganzi we Juliet Nabona oluvannyuma lw'obutakkaanya bwe baali nabwo okumala emyezi 7 egyali giyise okweyongera.
Omuvubuka abadde asabanga omuwala ssente ez'okunoonya omulimu, ng'omuwala amuwa naye ng'omuvubuka tafuna mulimu. Kati omuwala ne yeetamwa.
Ab'omuliraano bagamba nti baawulira abaagalana bano nga bayombagana era ekyavaamu kwali kufa kwa Nabona.
Bamutemye wano ne bamutema wano ne bamutema ne wano, ejjambiya n'agiteeka mu kifuba.
Poliisi egamba nti oluvannyuma yatemezebwako nga Mulindwa gwe yali eyiga bwe yali ali mu ddwaliro e Mulago.
Awo twatambuliddewo mangu ne tuteekayo abasirikale baffe bamulinde. Wadde twabadde tufunye information nti waliwo abaagala omubuzaawo.
Mulindwa ategeezezza nti oluvannyuma lw'okutta muganzi we Nabona kyamuyitirirako era naye n'ayagala okwetta.
I wanted to commit suicide. I did manslaughter.
You did a manslaughter? You killed someone? Who?
She was Napona Juliet. She started going out with other men. Namugambako gamba nandaga nti nebyenjogera ebyamakulu gyali.
Kati poliisi egamba nti amangu ddala nga Suuse Mulindwa wakutwalibwa avunaanibwe.
Eddwaliro emale okumutwitinga awone, tujja mukomitinga mu mbuga z'amateeka ansalinga omusango guno ogw'amada.
Ono kati akumirwa poliisi mu ddwaliro lino e Mulago okutuusa lw'anaawona. Dini Lubowa Sava, NTV Akawungezi.
NTV Akawungezi. Ministry y'abakozi ekkiriza nga bwe waliwo okusomoozebwa okussa mu nkola enteekateeka empya egobererwa mu kusasula abakozi. Kino kiviiriddeko abakozi abali mu 4,000 okumala emyezi egiri wakati w'3 n'4 nga tebasasulwa. Abasawo n'abasomesa be basinze okukosebwa.
Kizuuliddwa nti abakozi ba gavumenti 1494 okwetoola eggwanga lyonna be batannafuna musaala gwabwe okuva mu mwezi gwa January nga kino kyesigamiziddwa ku nkola empya ey'okusasula abakozi ba gavumenti eri mu kuteekebwa mu nkola ensangi zino.
Tekyasobola kukolebwa lumu kuba abantu bangi ate categories eza payroll ezibaddeko zibadde za njawulo. Yaga basomesa aba health workers ne government agencies kweganga tetusobola kikwata lumu. So tuzze tukikola mu phases. N'olw'ensonga eyo ebizibu ebivudde mu process eyo nabyo bibadde mu bbanga ddeneko kuba tuzze tukikola first since April 2011.
Kuno kw'ossa abakozi ba gavumenti nga bo ebiwandiiko byabwe bikyatankanibwa zi banka saako ekyokuba nti ebiwandiiko byabwe byatuuka kikeereza eri ministry ekola ku nsonga z'abakozi.
Of course waliyo n'abalala bayinza okuba tebasasuddwa olw'okuba maybe tubajja ku payroll nga payroll yaffe eraga nti bawezezza emyaka 6 because that's our retirement age ne tubajjako oba waliwo abalala mu process eno ey'okuba nti tubakyusa nga waliwo abazeeko ne records 2 bya duplicates abamu ne tubajjako nabo.
Enkola eno empya eyitibwa Integrated Payroll and Personnel System yagunjibwawo mu mwaka gwa 2011 n'ekigendererwa ekyokulwanyisa abakozi ab'empewo. Wabula waliwo essuubi nti omwaka gw'ebyensimbi guno we gunaggweerako ng'enkola eno emaze okuggibwako engalo nga n'okwemulugunya ku misala nako okugonjoddwa. Bo abasawo bannansi bagamba nti embeera esusse obw'omulamuzi nga kati wekituuse beetaaga kubudaabudibwa okwewala okutabuka emitwe.
Nansi nga assistant afuna emitwalo 23. N'olaba Nansi owa Enroad wa Pink afuna emitwalo emeka? 3. Kyokamanya nti alinako pay as you earn. Bannange tuteekawo bakansala abakansolinga abakozi ba gavumenti.
Abasomesa nabo bagamba nti embeera eri bubi.
Bwogenda Lyantonde, bwogenda Namayingo wali, bwogenda wano Mukono wano kumpi, bwogenda Esinjiro, abasomesa abangi abandi badde ku payroll era babaddewo kati tebanafuna na musaara gw'okubiri.
Ate eddwaliro ly'e Mulago litegeezezza ng'abakozi balyo 217 batannasasulwa musaala ogw'omwezi oguwedde wabula nga bakola kyonna ekisoboka okubasasula.
So tewali kwekalakasa kwonna e Mulago, abantu bakolanga bulijjo ssaawa 24 ennaku 7 mu wiiki.
Abakozi ba gavumenti abawerako baze beemulugunya kukulwawo okufuna emisaala gyabwe, ekintu abakulu mu gavumenti kye bagamba nkivudde ku nnongosereza egenda mu maaso naddala mu nsasula y'abakozi ba gavumenti. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Destiny River. That's it. Either Solano comes here and talks to me, or there's no deal.
You can't just leave. No way.
Oh, I can't? And what could stop me?
And I doubt it'll happen, even with the invitations.
And why do you say this, Grandma?
Oh, come on, Solano. Come on.
Destiny River.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Kyali ku NTV akawungezi mu mawulire amalala, poliisi eyimirizza olukuŋŋaana lw'abasuubuzi abaliko ebintu bye baatunza gavumenti ya South Sudan ebiri mu bukadde nsonyiwa katono olubadde lutegekeddwa ku Sharing Hall Ensambya. Bano bagamba nti baasuubuza gavumenti ya South Sudan ebintu ebiri mu buwumbi bwa siringi 156 era gavumenti eyakono nebagumya nga bwe bagenda okusasulwa. Kati baagala President Museveni ayingire mu nsonga zaabwe.
Olukuŋŋaana lw'abasuubuzi luno lwabadde lutegekeddwa kutandika ku ssaawa 8 wabula omuduumizi wa poliisi y'Ensambya George Omon n'alulinnyamu eggere ng'agamba nti teruli mu mateeka.
That thing is addressed to that letter is addressed to Osika Sawe.
You see, you know that we are
not Osika, Auntie. You were not guided well. Let's not. The documents are there. The required documents are there. They go ahead. We have no problem with that.
Abasuubuzi abali batandise okuŋŋaana baaseko nkoma lya wabweru nga poliisi bwetegeeza nga bwe batafunye lukkusa wabula oluvannyuma bano bakkiriziddwa okuyingira. Ssentebe w'abasuubuzi bano ategeeza nga babadde boogeddeko ne ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi General Kale Kayihura n'abakkiriza okutuuza olukuŋŋaana luno naye tebamanyi ate lwaki lugaaniddwa.
At the level of president, above even ministers, above cabinet. So that brings us some little of bit hope. But at the same time, I feel the trader is saying that we need also to get and develop our own guiding framework we need to be trading on.
Kinajjukirwa nti abasuubuzi bano bazze beemulugunya ku mbeera embi gye bayisibwamu e Southern Sudan. Ate ekyensimbi z'abanja gavumenti ya Southern Sudan ne kyegattako. Kimuli Ivan Kigozi, NTV akawungezi.
Webale nnyo Kimuli Ivan Kigozi. Bawannyondo ba kooti wamu ne poliisi Embale bazinzeeko amaka g'omutuuze Rogers Babi ne bamulagira agamuke. Ono kasukibwe bweru bagamba nti babadde batuukiriza kiragiro kya kooti. Ab'enju eno bakanze kulaajana nga buteerere.
Bino bibadde ku luguudo lw'Ebugwere mu kibangirizi ky'amakolero mu disitulikiti ey'Embale. Bawannyondo ba kkooti nga bali wamu ne poliisi olumaze okufulumya ebintu byonna ne babisse busukka kkubo. Bano bakanze kwegayirira babongereyo akadde bafune we balaga nga buteerere.
Tujja kwebaka ago paka lwe banaatufunira we tugenda. Buli we banaatusembezanga we tunaafuna obuliri.
Ab'enju ya Rogers babi batutegeezezza nti babadde tebafunangako bbaluwa yonna ebalagira kusenguka wabula balabiddaawo nga bafubutulwa.
Era tetuwozangako naye musango nga bwe batugamba nti Juma Lwanga yasingaani Rogers babi.
Amaka gano kigambibwa nti Juma Lwanga yagakayanira. Mukyala w'ababi agamba nti balina abantu bangi be balabirira nga kati tebalina wakubateeka.
Kati twetaaga obuyambi eri gavumenti kuba abaana bangi abakuumibwa wano, mulimu enfunzi, mulimu bamulekwa, bonna bangi abakuumibwa mu kizimbe kino.
Ffe tukirabira ddala nti ssente zaffe ze tutola ng'abatuuze ba Uganda nga bwe tuggyako omusolo ze zitutulugunya wano ku nsi.
Era agamba nti n'abandi bali mu ddwaliro ku bitanda olw'enkyukwe gye baguddemu. Ono era agamba nti batambudde amaofiisi agawerako omuli eya RDC ne RPC wabula nga tebafunye kuyambibwa kwonna.
RPC leero tukedde ne tumukubira essimu okuva incidence we yaliwo nga twogera ne RPC. RPC n'agaana otuyamba ne tuddukirira the very day bwe baatufulumya mu nju the 15 minutes to the when the action had just started. Twaddukira owa RDC. RDC oyo nga bwe tumanyi nti ye president wa Mbale. Netumuddukira ne tumunyonyola ku ngeri zetu ensonga zaffe. RDC yagaana otuyamba yatubuuza nti ffe tumuwa amagezi g'abaatuyambiramu.
Ye RDC w'Embale Shabani agamba nti tayinza kukyusa kiragiro kya kkooti nga wano wabasabidde okujulira singa baba tebakkiriziganya na nsalawo ya kkooti.
Yo poliisi mu Kampala erabudde ku bakujjukujju abaweereza abantu empewo oluvannyuma ne babakubira essimu nga babagamba nti ssente za mobile money ze baweereza ziwabye bazibaddize. Poliisi egamba nti yadde ng'eriko beekuta abali mu 20 okunoonyereza ku nsonga eno kizibu kubanga okuwandiisa amasimu kwalimu ebizibu bingi.
Poliisi ebadde ekola ebikwekweto ebikwata ku bunyazi n'obubbi obw'okukozesa mobile money. Era tukutte abantu abasukka 20 nga ekibinja ekimu ku bano kyali kiteesewo senta yaakyo kwa kyali kitibwa amasajja ku luguudo lw'Ebusaabala kyabadde bakozesa okukyusa obukodyo buli ssaawa. Waliwo abantu abawandiisa amasimu naye nga bagawandiisa mu maanyi agatali gaabwe. Abamu bawandiisa amasimu ne bakozesa n'obufaananyi obutali bwabwe. Ate n'awaliwo n'amasimu agakyakola nga si mawandiise abantu tebeewandisanga ekiwadde obuzibu poliisi okustopinga omuze guno n'okunoonyereza abantu abeetabye mu bubbi obw'ekika kino. Kyetusaba nti abantu abakwatibwako bino kampani z'amasimu ne departments ez'enjawulo zandibadde zongera mu speed okuteeka okuwandiisa amasimu mu nkola.
Ate Emayuge omukazi wa myaka 55 atandise okusoma mu primary esooka era ng'agamba ekimutta kuyiga kusoma na kuvuunula Bayibuli. Namukadde ono agamba nti yafuna okulabikirwa Katonda ng'amukwasa Bayibuli ate era abeere nayo buli walaga kyokka nga tamanyi kusoma ekimuwaliriza okutandika buto okusoma.
Pulukerina Kubita ow'emyaka 55 mutuuze ku kyalo ky'Ebando mu disitulikiti y'e Mayuge. W'omulabira wano yeeteekateeka kugenda ku ssomero. Yakatandika okusoma mu kibiina ekisooka ku ssomero lya Kyebando Primary School e Mayuge. Kubita tannafuna uniform era asuddeko engoye ze ezikyala bw'atyo n'ayolekera okumeggana n'emisomo. Bw'omulaba ng'ali mu bayizi banne oyinza okumuyita omuzadde oba omusomesa. Wabula bw'atuuse ku ssomero yeegasse ku bayizi banne okulongoosa ekikakasiza ddala nti y'omu ku bo. Kubita mukazi mukatuliki era emidaali tegimuva mu bulago. Agamba yalabikirwa Katonda.
Musengwa ne yampa Bayibuli eno. Yankuba ati nkuwayire Bayibuli eno.
ati gemerera bayibuli eyo okutuusa bwe ndidda ninkutwala mu kifo kya baba wange kye yampa.
bayibuli eno ayita nayo buli walaga era agamba ekyamuwaliriza okuddayo okusoma ayagala kuyiga kugisoma na kugivuunula.
Ng'owooluganda yali mu kereziya omwo ng'akoba ati waliwo omukazi eyakoze eki eyayizeeyo mu kusoma wa myaka 8. Nakoba nti omukazi w'emyaka 8 ninze ow'emyaka 5 nkali muto lwaki tiirayo mu kusoma ate musengo yampa bayibuli ena etidde kukola ki kugisoma. N'asalawo okuyidde eno ku isomero.
Mu kibiina kubita atuula mabega aleme kusiikiriza bayizi banne abato. Era kakati atandise okugegenya akageri ke yatandika ng'olusoma lutambuddeko.
My name is Pulikeria. Very good. Clap for her. Thank you very much.
Kubita agamba aluubirira kuba musomesa. Omusomesa we Margaret Mpabulungi agamba nti newankubadde ng'akwata mpola ebimusomesebwa waliwo essuubi nti namukadde ono ajja kukola bulungi gye bujja.
Twamusanukira era twaba redde niye banange betusomesa nabo ekibiina kino.
Kubita talina mwana wadde omusajja agamba yava mu bufumbo nga bajja be bamuvumirira olw'obutazaala era ewuwe abeerawo bw'omu.
Ini primary 1.
NTV Akaongezi.
Today's highlight with
New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
She said that my father had abandoned us. But no. I was the son she had by someone who raped her. She never told me.
Well, you should love her even more for that. In spite of everything, she gave you life.
Yeah, a life full of humiliation and shame.
Let me see it.
My mom always wants what's best for us. That's why she uses new geisha with extracts from nature. New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
Mu mizannyo olwaleero abazannyi abasukka mu 8 bebeetabye mu mpaka za golf ez'abavubuka ezitegekeddwa wano ku Uganda Golf Club Ekitante ng'ekimu ku bikujjuko eby'okusiibula abadde lead captain wa Uganda Golf Club Agi Konde.
Abavubuka abayambako mu kusitulira abazannyi ebikozesebwa mu mpaka ez'enjawulo ku kisaawe kya goofu olwaleero nabo baweereddwa omukisa okuwakanya mu mpaka ezitegekeddwa ng'ekimu ku bikujjuko eby'okusiibula lead captain. Empaka zino ezimaze olunaku lumu nga zikwajja ku Uganda Golf Club zeetabiddwamu abazannyi 86. Lead captain Agi Konde anaatera okuwaayo obuyinza eri munne Dr. Kate Kabenge amuddidde mu bigere agamba nti empaka zino ze zimu ku nteekateeka z'abadde nazo ez'okukulaakulanya omuzannyo gwa goofu ng'ayita mu kuvumbula ebitone.
Twetaaga okubateekamu spirit eyo esobola okuyiga omuzannyo bwe baba nga baguzanya ate kiba kibayamba nnyo okubanga bwe baba batukwatira nga game bagitegeera bulungi nnyo.
Bo abazeetabyemu n'abasitaddemu ensimbi bagamba nti empaka zino zibawadde omukisa nabo ogezesa emikisa gyabwe. Ebikojjeko bino byakoggwa n'empaka z'abakyala ku Lwomukaaga. Sam Mpoza, NTV Akawungeezi.
Ate okuvaako ebweru w'eggwanga ttiimu za Bungereza omuli eya Arsenal n'eya Manchester City zoolekedde olusozi Gambalagala mu mpaka za club empanguzi eza Bulaaya. Arsenal yakukyalira Bayern Munich so nga Manchester City egenda kukyalira Barcelona. Ttiimu zino zombi zawangulwa ggoolo 2 ku bwereere omwazo wiiki 2 emabega.
Aba Arsenal balina kwesiba 2 bwe baba kweyongera ku ddaala eriddirira mu kikopo kya kilabu za Bulaaya oluvannyuma lw'abatabani ba Pep Guardiola aba Bayern okubawutula ggoolo 2-1. Ggoolo za Bayern zaateebwa abazannyi Toni Kroos ne Thomas Muller. Arsenal bwe yawangulirwa omwayo ku Emirates wiiki 2 eziyise. Bakwambalagana mu luzannyo olw'okuddiŋŋana olunaku lw'enkya. Singa Arsenal kati eri mu kyokusatu mu liigi ya Bungereza ewangula Bayern ejja kubanga ye ttiimu ey'okubiri okuwangulira Bayern omwayo bukya sizoni eno etandika. Okuyitawo okugenda mu luzannyo oluddirira Arsenal eba erina okukuba ggoolo 3 nga Bayern tezzeemu ekintu bangi kye bayita olusozi Gambalagala. Sizoni ewedde Arsenal yakuba Bayern ggoolo 2-0 e Germany wabula Arsenal newandukamu ku tteeka erya ggoolo ey'okubugenyi olw'ensonga nti Bayern yali abakubira omwayo ggoolo 3-1. Manchester City nayo eyolekedde olusozi Gambalagala bw'enaaba eyambalagana ne Barcelona mu Spain ku lunaku olwokusatu. Lionel Messi ne Dani Alves batebera Barcelona bwe bali bawangulira Manchester City omwayo sabiti 2 eziyise. Ye omutendesi wa Manchester City Manuel Pellegrini tajja kukirizibwa kulinnya ku kisaawe oluvannyuma lw'okuwerebwa olw'okwogera ebyanjwanjwa ku mukommonsi wa firimbi eyalamula omupiira gwabwe mu luzannya olwasooka mu Bungereza. Ono yawerebwa okumala emipiira 2.
NTV, turning on your world.
Program Guide.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Exactly a minute after 7 o'clock. Welcome to the only place that gets you started for the day. My name is Brian Mlondo. I'm coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. The sky is rather turning dark, so if you're leaving your house, an umbrella or a jacket might come in handy. Well, it's all jam-packed here at the rooftop at the NTV studios at the International Conference Center for features like the press review, the big story, everyday life, the HTC moment, and of course sports with Dakaba Chigongo. What are you waiting for? Grab that remote, hide it, and make sure you're locked to Morning at NTV. Let's get started with the question of the day. Good morning. that during this time, the people in Kabale are definitely still in bed. In Kampala, we are definitely out of bed. Today's question of the day: how many East African countries share Lake Victoria? That is, how many East African countries share Lake Victoria? Help us answer that question on our Facebook page. That is Morning at NTV. And you can also tweet us at Morning at NTV. We also have the SMS platform. You can send those answers with your name to 6565. Alternatively, all these platforms are there for you to send your feedback and comments about how you love the show, how we can improve it, and of course, we'll be updating you in a very short while what is coming up on the next 2 hours of Morning at NTV. Standing by is Mabel with the stories that are making headlines. Good morning, Mabel.
Good morning, Brian, and good morning to you all. Thank you for watching Morning at NTV, coming to you live on air and online. Welcome to the program that starts your day. We'll take a look at the headlines. The NRM Parliamentary Caucus meets. Government institutions may have the first quarter of their annual budget funds released by July, and a 55-year-old enrolled into Primary 1.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The National Resistance Movement Parliamentary Caucus yesterday met at State House Entebbe to discuss, among other things, NRM primaries as well as the question of independent candidates. The meeting comes amid a great rift between the caucus and Party Secretary General, whom many ruling party MPs blame for the problems that the party faces. Maurice Ochol with this report.
As the NRM attempts to heal a deeper rift within the party, the meeting of the caucus this Monday brings on board all ruling party flag bearers who lost in the 2011 elections. Many of the ruling party MPs believe the conduct of the party primaries should be reformed. Top on the agenda is the question of management, with an accusatory finger pointed at the embattled Secretary General and Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi.
Ballot papers in his car. So what is that? So we can't allow this. We want to talk about it and see how it will go.
Who was in charge and what went wrong?
The in charge was the SG. And we still now see he cannot handle if he's like there.
Others blame the structures like human resource as well as the voter register, which they say needs to be cleaned up.
Because if that exercise is mismanaged, the register of the members at village level, the whole thing would be what? So we have to start with that. Because it is from the villages that we now get sub-county committees, we get the district committees.
How are we financing it? Okay? Is transparency there? We must do this. And this is not a challenge of the NRM. NRM is being bold to walk the talk. We are simply saying, let's clean our house. We don't want problems like the other party, you know, where the committee confirmed that their own elections were fraud.
However, some legislators think that the issue of independent candidates should be done away with, such that no one defies the party position to stand as an independent.
And that, to some extent, is the explanation why in Parliament at the moment, in the 9th Parliament, there are a number of independent members of Parliament who are NRM leaning. So some of them strongly believe and still hold the opinion and view that they were rigged.
As people think about that other second chance, it will be very difficult to convince this person when he has lost under primaries that you've lost it all. Always people will go for a second.
This series of meetings come at a time tension between the President and the Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi that have since spilled over into the activities of the party. During the meeting, the MPs will also discuss the roadmap to the 2016 elections. Maurice Ochol, NTV at Parliament.
Government institutions may have the first quarter of their annual budget funds released by July, immediately after the budget has been read. Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi disclosed that discussions are ongoing to make reforms in the budgetary cycle to improve service delivery. Solomon Seranja with this story.
Last year, the Public Finance and Accountability Amendments Bill was tabled before the floor of Parliament to better financial management in government institutions. The bill, which is currently before the Parliamentary Budgets Committee for discussion and review, also seeks to change the budget cycle to shorten the appropriation process. Currently, once the budget has been read by the Minister of Finance, Parliament approves 1/3 of the non-statutory annual budget to enable government institutions run before the entire budget is debated and approved. The Presidential Advisory Committee on Budget, which comprises some members of parliament including David Bahati, Tim Rwanga and others, spent the day in a meeting chaired by the Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi to finalize the report, which will see this trend change.
By the time the Minister of Finance reads the budget statement, we will have everything will have been done, which now these days we do between July and September.
This means that all the debates on the budget allocations of the different ministries must have been discussed and finalized by July 1st.
When July 1st comes, which is the beginning of the new financial year, all departments, all vote holders have their money and they can spend, so that we don't have that interruption. We don't have any period in the year when expenditure is constrained because there is no money or not enough money.
The argument then will be that there will be no need of the vote on account disbursement, but rather the release of the first quarter funds. Currently, the disbursement of the first quarterly funds is done in September, after Parliament has fully approved the entire budget. Some members of Parliament have welcomed the move and have expressed willingness to support the amendments.
In this budget now, once it is approved, implementation is done 100%. No ministry, no department will be allowed to reallocate monies that have already been allocated. Implementation will be done in time. There will be timely disbursement of funds.
I see a lot of sense that we can discuss, we propose, so that those proposals are incorporated in the budget. And otherwise, if we discuss after presentation, it's very difficult. And actually, we do very minimal changes, especially when the budget has been presented already.
Others insist that the review in the budget cycle may not necessarily improve service delivery.
Service delivery, even under this present arrangement, could still have been delivered if only we had the commitment, if only we observed and adhered to financial regulations. But the moment you have got this thieving executive, like is the case that we see in Uganda, no amount of change, even to align it in line with what Rwanda is doing, will improve the situation. Never.
The Shadow Minister of Finance, Geoffrey Kanya, however, says that the funds that will be disbursed under the proposed budget cycle needs to come with accountability.
It is good that by first, when the new release starts, it is based on the approved activity work plan, which indicates procurement plan, so that money is released based on targets that can be measured.
The bill is expected to return to the House when Parliament returns from recess. Rwanda and Kenya have already adopted this reform. Solomon Serwanja, NTV.
Develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. A quote by American writer Anthony J. D'Angelo. This can best be exemplified by a 55-year-old woman in Mayuge district who has enrolled into Primary 1 to learn how to read and interpret the Bible. The elderly woman claims she had an apparition in which God gave her a Bible, which she unfortunately cannot read, something that has inspired her to go back to school.
55-year-old Pulukeri Yakubita is a resident of Chebando village in Mayuge district. Normally, at about 7:30 a.m., she would be headed to the garden. However, lately, her schedule has changed. At dawn, she readies herself for school. She has just enrolled in Primary 1 at St. Matia Mulumba Chebando Primary School in Mayuge. Kubita has no uniform at the moment. She slips into her Sunday best and rushes to school. Among her fellow pupils, Kubita looks like a parent or a teacher until you see her getting involved in school activities like cleaning. The rosary-adorned woman is a staunch Catholic who claims to have had an apparition from God.
God gave me this Bible and ordered me to keep it until He takes me to heaven.
She moves with this Bible wherever she goes. Unfortunately, she cannot read it, the very reason she says inspired her to go to school.
Ng'owoluganda yali mu kereziyo mu ng'akoba ati waliwo omukazi
Our priest told us of an 80-year-old woman who went back to school, and that really inspired me to enroll in primary 1.
Nkali muto lwaki tirayo mu kusoma ate musengo yampa Bible ena etidde kukola ki kugisoma nasalawo okuyidde eno ku isomero.
Like a grandmother among her children, Kubita sits at the back of the class to avoid obstructing the young ones.
My name is Pulikeria. Clap for her.
Kubita's dream is to become a teacher. Her teacher Margaret Mpablungi says, despite Kubita's current incapacity to quickly grasp classwork, there is hope that she will improve.
We are pleased that she decided to join primary 1, and we promise to support her in every way possible.
Kubita, who is single and childless, says she quit marriage after her co-wives incessantly insulted her for being barren.
Very interesting there, and I have some bilingual books in English and Lusoga. I wish I could get them over to her. Well, moving on, civil society commentators have cautioned government not to use the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2013 as a tool to curtail opposition. During a meeting held in Kampala yesterday, observers noted that the law should instead be used to fight corruption, especially the kind that is promoted by those, among others, NRM primaries, as well as the question of independent candidates. We have more on this story.
The Uganda Parliament recently passed the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2013 to add to the existing legislation regime against corruption. Financial sector observers say the law will help rid the country of corruption and make it hard for unscrupulous politicians and businessmen to move money unnoticed.
It will help us that all transactions which are supposed to involve money are supposed to be through the banking sector, so that there is always an audit trail of where the money comes from and where it went. This one will curtail people who want to steal money, because there is no way you will steal money and spend it, because this will cease to be a cash economy. Currently, our country is being run on a cash economy. That's why it is easy to steal money. So if we implement this law as it is, cash economy will be no more, and the stealing of public resources will be no more, and the money meant for development now will not be stolen, and the country will develop.
In the same breath, however, activists say the law still has many loopholes which might affect its effectiveness in ridding the country of the corruption vice, especially the one perpetuated by big shots.
The law is not really strong enough to deal with the people who have loads of wealth. It doesn't. And the people who have loads of wealth in this country, who are real estate moguls, they have somehow a connection to the political power center of today, and I really hope that we can scrutinize, we can be able to engage, because it is a huge problem. It is a massive problem, you know.
The growth in the numbers of money laundering cases and related fraud in the country makes this law a time development. Concern, however, still remains whether the same law may not be abused by government to curtail political opposition.
You are still watching Morning at NTV. We now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Brian, Soel and Joel.
A slightly overcast sky hovering over Kampala. We are coming to you from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. It's Tuesday, the 11th day of March 2014. It's Morning at NTV's great morning press review as we look at what's making the headlines in the papers. Folks, I'm with the usual group of friends, Joel and Brian. Good morning, Brian, who's looking very overcast like the weather today.
Do I? What's wrong with you?
Let me just say I'm wearing dark colors, but Well, that says
I'm
something
good.
about dark colors and you. They possibly don't accentuate you as much as they should. You don't look very bright and sunny this morning. But of course, I know you don't look until you speak. When you speak, you hit the ground running. Well, Joel, you're looking sharp in a very light grey suit and looking extremely wonderful in your usual tie and handkerchief. How's your morning?
Thank you. You know, when you are dark, dark and lovely like me, you need to wear light things so that
you look like Honorable Hilary Neck.
Before
we can get to who you look like and how we sound like, 130,000 pure students have missed out on S5 admission. This is a challenge that's playing out in the Daily Monitor's front page. And the question is, what alternatives are there for these students whose dream to join the higher education system in Uganda has now come to possibly a stop? Will they think of getting into vocational training? Will they look at joining other areas that would possibly propel them into the future that they so much crave for? It's a story that you don't have to miss when you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor.
I get the feeling that half of those kids are actually going to go to S5.
Perhaps all of them will go to secondary.
Actually, yeah.
I mean, this is an opportunity.
Schools.
Like the Chinese say, you have to find an opportunity in every problem if you're a wise man. But if you're a foolish man, you always find a problem in every opportunity. Now, businessmen out there are looking at 130 guys who have no place to go to in senior 5. They'll create up a makeshift Mabati secondary school, call it a high school of learning, and admit these people perhaps even more.
But they do a lot more awesome ones. If you look at private schools nowadays, you think, hey, this is a hotel. I'll tell you, when I missed government, going to government school, especially for S1, I was flummoxed. I thought this is the end of me. But it turns out, no, that's not the case, and we need to keep encouraging these young people. When you miss out on, I don't know, 4 or 25 points, that's not the end of you. A while back, there's a time President Bush was addressing graduates at one of those universities, and he said, for those of you that have excelled, congratulations. For those of you that got C's, worry not. You could one day become president of the US. That guy was a C student, and here he was, the most powerful man on earth at the time.
Well, maybe the other flip side is that there is hundreds of millions of C and D students, but you can only get hundreds of presidents. So what happened to the other hundreds of millions?
Of course, it was just an example that just because you didn't perform as excellently as everybody expected you to, that doesn't mean your life has fallen apart.
Uganda People's Congress, arguably one of the oldest political parties in this country, marks 54 years, and there's an interesting front page story of Lera Municipality Member of Parliament Jimmy Akena, who also doubles as President Emeritus Milton Obote, the founding father of the Uganda People's Congress, being carried shoulder high by supporters, all clad in red shirts. And yes, you can see there is nothing but joy on their faces. Now the joke is, if you're celebrating with so much glee after 54 years, how would you celebrate if you made it to State House? Well, they have been there as UPC twice.
Well, of course, after 1980, what has UPC got to show for its existence?
Well, interestingly, that the celebration to mark 54 years of UPC is showing the son of the former founding father. When this party has a party president, my good old friend Mr. Olara Otunu, is telling of how much the UPC has fallen. I do not imagine that the UPC celebrating any milestone of an anniversary in the past would have gone in a newspaper of any place in this country without the face of its president.
Yes.
But now we are seeing a different face, and perhaps that is telling of how fragmented the party has gone, or how much the center doesn't hold anymore for this.
Is it time for Akena to take up the reins?
That is a question
I'm
sure
with his colleagues,
only him can answer. But of course, it's not far from him. His father was party president. His mother was party flag bearer at the recent election in 2006. And so, with this politics of inheritance in Uganda, where a member of parliament, God forbid, passes on and their child takes on, no matter how much they fall short of the the proper demeanor of an MP, there they are. So it's not far from anyone's imagination that Jimmy Akena could possibly be the next president of UPC to lead into their 60 years anniversary celebrations.
One thing I believe, any party that is going to grow and become something with immense impetus is one that is going to embrace young thugs. And for parties like UPC, they're still dogged with these old fellows, which is not bad. They need to be around to in many ways nurture the young people, but UPC is seen as this party of the old folk. It is outdated, tired, and that's how many young people see it. Albeit, of course, we see some other young people in some of these other parties, you know, all looking preposterous, you know, prostrating all over the place and saying, we are doomed if so and so is not available. And I'm thinking, young people, style up.
Isn't that much, well, because I now know that there's a lady called Anite who belongs to the NRM. Probably the only people I know in UPC are Jimmy Akena and Ola Rotunu.
So you're saying it was good publicity for Anite?
Well, regardless of what young... I personally think that regardless of what young people do, you know, as a sign of respect to their leaders, but at least they're taking their parties ahead. Where is UPC in this?
Well, maybe to discuss UPC, we need to invite them here for the big story more than we already did. But talking about publicity, the Daily Monitor, which is always a supplier of truth every day, realizes, and I hope that you remember as a viewer, that on Monday, the 7th day of May 2012, 2 years ago, the Daily Monitor published a story headlined "Police Squeeze Mbabazi Over NRM Cash." 2 years down the road, the Daily Monitor has realized that story was wrong in fact, and in fact, the Daily Monitor retracts it in its entirety and regrets the inconvenience, odium, and all that this could have caused to the good old Amama Mbabazi. And the Monitor, of course, goes to inform you that they hold nothing more sacred than to always tell the truth. Well, there we are.
That's exquisite. You know, we've got a problem with our media in this country. Many times there's people that are unprofessional. If they are professional, many times the truth does not come out. You tune in to a TV station or radio station and you're listening to absolute poppycock. You're thinking, no, it's not right. So when the Monitor comes out this way, you're thinking, this is good.
Good, but don't you think this apology coming 2 years down the road is too little, too late? Does it really have to take... well, I mean, 2 years to realize that what you wrote was a fallacy?
I don't know. I want to find out why it took them this long to find out.
I do not want to stand here and start castigating my sister media house, the Daily Monitor, but I mean, viewers and the readers are not as complacent as we think they are. But we should also ask ourselves that question. That you're bringing up an apology 2 years down the road. What could have led to you realizing that what you said was in fact a fallacy? For the most part, the moment you publish a lie today, that very day, the subjects of that story are calling off the hook, threatening, pleading, and all that. Well, many times you realize if they've written about you. I've been in a position where I've had to, you know, interact and altercate with my colleagues at the Daily Monitor for writing something that I don't consider to be truthful. But an apology coming 2 years down the road.
For me, I'm glad it has come out 2 years afterwards.
Well, the timing is good. The timing is perfect. What are the things that have been told?
Gentleman is getting a lot of airplay.
No.
But you know, like we're saying,
that's why I was harping on it. I mean, there is so much you can report about Mbabazi than coming to bring an apology on the front page 2 years down the road.
When he's a beleaguered man, you're coming out
what
to
are
save
the
his
issues
neck.
at play here? Well,
but I think it's good, regardless of whether it has come out late.
Well, let's get down into more Mbabazi talk. Ruling party caucus meets for our
Mbabazi
third day.
has become Mbabazi.
Yes, he is now featuring prominently on the 5th page of the Daily Monitor with a smiling face as always, keeping his cool demeanor. Mbabazi concerned about NRM youth arrests. Of course, this story could have been published 1 week ago. I'm sure he was concerned even before they were arrested. And yes, Wafula Ogutu, the leader of opposition in parliament and also a member of the Forum for Democratic Change and also one of the founding members of the Daily Monitor, says events in the ruling party are a sign of likely collapse.
I allow me to say, you know, to disagree with Wafula Ogutu. For example, a reference to what happened in the US when Hillary and Obama were campaigning. You could think the Democratic Party is going to fall apart. You know,
the contestation, but remember the contestations there were so under the ambit of civility, basic decorum, and there were ground rules. But from the way things are done,
by the time
it seems to allude the fact that there are no ground rules here, and we are seeing a party that is slowly disintegrating. Which I think, as the leader of opposition, he should take very keen interest and study very closely. What I would possibly ask him is, okay, if events in the ruling party, which is NRM, is a sign of likely collapse, what do the events that have been unfolding in the Forum for Democratic Change and its failure to tussle power from this collapsing NRM have been? What is it telling about FDC? Collapsed?
Because I see a more likelihood of FDC falling apart than NRM. Seriously? I actually think NRM is going to come out of this whole Mbabazi scandal and the 5th term stronger.
My take actually would
You're
be
being
that
a bit too optimistic.
when the president is seemingly in a fight with Mbabazi and eventually Mbabazi jumps the ship or whatever the case might be, that doesn't lead to the collapse of the NRM. What leads to the collapse of the NRM is when President Museveni is out of the picture, because you know, as it is right now, he seems to be the party, which is unfortunate. Yeah, he is the party. You know, he's got all this aura and everything is really about him. You know, so Mbabazi is not a very big deal, I'll tell you, within the NRM.
Well, you can say that again. Let's get into developmental news in the Daily Monitor. Now, an interesting story playing out here in the Daily Monitor, which is a point for me to laugh at, we Ugandans. 25,000 households benefit from Egypt rainwater harvesting project. Now, for a country that has lived for eons as a desert, to come here to a place where it rains whenever it feels like, to teach us how to harvest rainwater, isn't it something telling about ourselves? I mean, what do we Ugandans do for ourselves if Egyptians are going to come here to teach us how to harvest rainwater when those guys barely see rain in a whole year, and for us rain is what we live in by the day? Is it because we have too much of? Possibly we should also go to Egypt and teach them about sand conservation.
Egypt has mastered the art of irrigation. Probably there's one or two things you could learn from them.
Why do we need irrigation here? It is we are better hurry with this program before it starts irrigating us. It's about to rain here where we are.
But so, it's very telling of the way we do things here. That's why I get bothered when I see people going to a witch doctor who does, for goodness sake, not even have slippers, and you're asking for riches from this guy. And I'm thinking, get serious. Or you go to people for counseling, marital counseling. You've been married 10 plus years. This person, for goodness sake, has not even said the word wife.
Well, the interesting picture accompanying this story on Egypt teaching us how to harvest rainwater is Environment Minister Ephraim Kamuntu and the Egyptian Minister for Water Resources Mohamed Abdel Motaleb pump testing a borehole that the Egyptian government sank somewhere in Mukono district yesterday. Tribunal to rule on the 37 billion Ugandan shillings Umeme case. The power sector is a very interesting sector that you need to have a keen eye on and see the developments in there. But I must say, this is an interesting story to follow, especially as we're talking about huge sums of money. 36 billion Uganda shillings is not pocket change. Dr. Kiza Besige today writes in the Daily Monitor in the comment section. He says, brace yourself, guys. Have the Mbawazis been helping build neo-fascism? He's asking. Of course, with tongue in cheek, and I can see a gloating Kiza Besige here saying, okay, now, the kicker to the story is, to the opinion is, what Mrs. Mbabazi didn't say was that their financial interests have been under attack. This interesting op-ed by the former president of the Forum for Democratic Change, Dr. Kiza Besige, is based on the premise of what's happening within the NRM, the woes of Mbabazi as an individual, the tribulations of his family, and that interesting statement that Mbabazi's wife did issue that explicitly said that the goings-on in the NRM are telling of the fascism that has gripped this party that for a long time cherished matters of openness, transparency, democratic contestation of power, and the like.
True or not, Mbabazi has always been seen as a henchman of President Museveni, doing all the seemingly dirty work. And along the way, he stepped on very many toes. He's, you know, cannibalized many people, as it were.
Why do you want to use the word cannibalize? This man is no cannibal.
Well, I mean, cannibalizing, you know, people's political careers and that kind of thing. I'm not saying that colloquially, but look.
But I thought that in political contestation, I mean, it's, come on, you go in there, you know what to expect. No one is going to give it to you on a silver platter.
Certainly. But you see, that's why people are coming out and saying, get over it, brother, stop crying foul, you have done this to people. Have a taste of your own medicine. He's not having many empathizers after all.
I am not so sure you have looked at the demographics very clearly. It seems you hang out
in the wrong group. These young people that are being arrested by police, how many youth? 3, 4, 5 of them?
Absolutely. I mean, there are those of us who be kicked out of the party and not a youth even recognize that you've been kicked out. Prosper. We are getting into the inner pages of the Daily Monitor. There's the Prosper magazine, which is a pull-out for you who intends to make more money than you actually are making, or who's got an idea that you think is a far-fetched dream, but you can get from Prosper the fact that some people have held a similar dream or even a weaker dream and yet have reaped millions of shillings and eked a wonderful living. And the story today is real estate and how this has made some people prosper, including the Arkwright boss, who is the main subject of the story. Rainbow magazine for you, the youngsters, is featuring here in the Daily Monitor. You can get yourself a copy if you ask daddy or mommy to buy it for you, and we'll be ready and willing to roll. What do we have further in the Daily Monitor? No red paper today, Brian?
No red paper today. I think Mr. Rugendo, maybe his printing machine.
Should send him a memo.
Yeah. Well, there is many more stories that are playing out in the sports section of the Daily Monitor. There is wonderful news about cricket. There is, of course, usual soccer. And there is also talk about the European Football League, where Arsenal is set to play out with Bayern Munich. A case of Goliath and David, if at all.
Not really.
If at all. Not really. Or should I put it this way? I was trying to be very kind to Brian. Now, Brian, if Arsenal walks out of this place unbeaten or unhumiliated, it would be something as common as Lazarus walking out of that grave.
Bayern Munich is arguably the best club on the planet right now. But I honestly think that...
I'm glad you used the word arguably.
Yeah. But I think we won't really be humiliated.
You'll just be beaten badly, but not
and
really
actually
badly.
I have a feeling that we may go to Germany and win.
A 10-0 win certainly would not be humiliating to you, because possibly you would have walked in there expecting 2 dozen. But let's wait for the
certain. You support Goliath and David, I see an interesting picture here of Golola and Mugula. This guy is down here probably begging for mercy. I'll be honest with you, I actually expected that Mugula was going to take Golola to school and teach him how this thing is done. But
I was so disappointed in Mugula. It's just another...
But Golola is a story of, you know what, you can get down but come up again and make things happen again. He inspired me, I'll tell you. I'm not a kickboxer. The other day my computer beat me at chess, but it could not handle me at kickboxing. But that's as far as I can go. But this guy's story is an inspiring one.
Yes. Well, there we have it, a wrap to today's press review this morning on Morning at NTV. Let's take a short breather. When we return, we are going in for the big story. Are you a smoker? Do you love puffing away? That possibly may not be the case, if at all the tobacco control bill is passed through Parliament. Or do you grow tobacco? Are you earning a living from the sale and the growth of tobacco? Well, there you have it. Stay tuned for the big story, for that is exactly what we'll be discussing.
NTV, turning on your world.
Let me tell you one thing, baby, no nabimanyire bya Gilbert. Will you shut your lips? There is something you need to know about Chris.
And I'll find my corner, maybe tonight.
I don't want him anywhere near my baby. I don't want to see him.
Just save it. Save it.
Stop it. That's what happened.
I just wanna hold
I don't get what you're saying.
This woman is trouble. She's going to ruin my everything. I can't even trust myself around her.
Remember who the boss is here.
How can I forget? She's running after a married man and she's making me do all her dirty work.
I can't see. Oh, give me love, my give me love. Give me love like never before. 'Cause lately I've been craving more.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought
pasas omwana yenna asobola okugamba super deep si myaka gyaffe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Okay, why didn't sign for when you got political Tayakan, Mozanga Nakajawa?
Katina Kamboza, why are you crying?
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprotichi's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs! Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs! Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought!
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? Yeah! That's a mega win!
Hello?
King
Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow! SpongeBob!
Fantastic!
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
how tugenda okwera kekiro yanga mwami omanyi yakeko nange omulundi gwe gusembayo.
I went to the nursery and asked why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive.
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakwokezza naze poza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza.
Kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Men. The way we talk, the things we eat, what we do, and the people we meet. What can we do about this?
All men are looking for different things. There is a man for every woman that walks the planet.
That's how you end up with people and then start to like them. Because you thought you wanted something else, then you discover other things and they're the ones that you like.
The length of the man and the shortness of the woman could be a factor in play, because if you have a 6x6 bed and the man is taller than the entire bed.
Because you're going to live with this person for the rest of your life, you are allowed to compromise on a few things for a greater win in the end.
Join us this Wednesday at 9:50 p.m. only on Men as we talk about stereotypes. Men.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Thank you for joining us this Tuesday morning. We now return to Simon with the big story.
Good morning. Once again, looking at the big story in a country that is reeling from interesting legislation that has been passed through the parliament and signed into law in the recent past. We have seen a law passed on anti-pornography. We have seen a law that has been passed over anti-homosexuality. Now we have a bill before parliament, a private member's bill, just like the anti-homosexuality bill, as it were, presented to parliament, and this is the tobacco control bill, which is now taking center stage in parliament, where the essence of this bill is to ensure that there is a lot of control with regard to the tobacco industry. Now we'll recall that the tobacco industry has been at play in this country for over 8 years and has contributed immensely to the economic development of this country. But the flip side to it is that it has also contributed to a number of life losses, while at the same time debate is rife as to whether or not it should be regulated as an industry or as a product to be banned. To discuss the goings on around the you want to call it anti-tobacco? Well, in this country it's all about anti-everything, but it is aptly called the Tobacco Control Bill 2014. With me, I have got a gentleman who has a lot on his shoulder with regard to credentials, Dr. Ponsi Mujenyi, previously manager of the Uganda National Expansion Program on Immunization, and now you're the manager for Center of Tobacco Control in Africa. Good morning and welcome to the big story.
Good morning, viewers.
Well, from where I sit, you may wish to bring the viewers to speed as regards to who exactly the Center for Tobacco Control in Africa are and exactly what you do.
Thank you, and thank you, viewers. The Center for Tobacco Control in Africa is based in Kasangati. Structurally, it is managed by Makerere University School of Public Health. However, this center is an African center. It's not a Ugandan center. It's an African center which was established by the World Health Organization specifically to support the governments to put in policies and regulations that will protect the public against the effects of smoking, especially smoking in public. And not only smoking, but use of tobacco in general, because there are people who chew tobacco, there are people who sniff it, and so many other modes of consumption of tobacco. So the center was established in 2011. It was launched
by the World Health Organization.
By the World Health Organization.
We in Uganda did not think that there was any problem with regard to the use and consumption of tobacco. We had to wait for the World
No, that's not correct. Uganda signed the treaty, the Framework Convention of Tobacco Control, which is a global convention, which was discussed by all states, Uganda inclusive.
Absolutely.
So in 2004, Uganda signed the treaty. In 2007, Uganda ratified the treaty.
Absolutely.
So you cannot say that Uganda was not concerned. Uganda was concerned and is still concerned.
So did the United States of America. Do we have the American Center for Tobacco Control based in the USA?
We have so many organizations in America which regulate smoking. In fact, in America, you just cannot smoke. You just cannot smoke.
Ponsi, I'm sure people who have lived and worked in the USA are looking at you and they are seeing the prima facie face of a liar. Because if you say that in the USA you cannot smoke, then what would you say about Uganda? Because I know that on average, there is 20 Americans smoking in a place where Ugandans smoke 1 or perhaps even a half.
They do smoke, but there are regulations to control smoking. And when we talk about controlling smoking, we are actually talking about controlling you, the smoker, affecting somebody seated beside you who is not smoking.
But this bill, for example.
Take an example. If I was smoking here and you are not smoking, we are seated on this table. And at the end of the day, you suffer from the effects of smoking. Would you like it?
Unless I am glued here by super glue, I have a choice to either stand off and give you space or you do not.
Why would I chase you from your
You are not chasing me, because for the most part people make choices on who they sit next to and what they are doing.
So this bill is meant to protect the people like you who do not, suppose I smoke in church, you have come to pray and I decide to smoke. Should you leave the
Dr.
church?
Ponsi, let's not go into the semantics
So really
of the tobacco control lobby where you say it's supposed to protect people like you. Are you meaning me because you have no idea whether I smoke or I don't? That I'm not smoking now does not mean that I do not smoke.
A person X who doesn't smoke.
Now let's look at this tobacco control bill. For the most part, arguments have been thrown left, right and center claiming that tobacco is a big killer disease in this country. In fact, it's responsible for all the mushrooming cancers that we are seeing. And in fact, we know that cancer has been declared an epidemic in this country. Can you just paint a picture to what extent tobacco has contributed to the grotesque picture of cancer in this country?
Tobacco is responsible for a number of cancers.
Prostate
tobacco
cancer?
is responsible
cervical
for lung
cancer?
Let's talk science.
Am I speaking Spanish?
Let's talk science. We are talking about tobacco being a risk factor for certain cancers. Each cancer,
so
listen
is
to
chips,
me.
so
listen
is chicken.
to me, listen to me.
So
you
is
ask
coffee.
me a question and you need to give me space to answer the question.
Posty, like I said, this
You
is SMS of TV. You either hit it first or you don't.
You told me to tell you the cancers related to smoking, and
All.
I'm going to tell you.
One, we don't have all day.
One, lung cancer. 71% of all lung cancer globally is related to tobacco use.
Let's bring it down to Ugandan context. To what extent we have lung cancer sufferers in Uganda that should concern the World Health Organization to put up a center for tobacco control in Uganda? Kasanga, to be very specific.
Yes. They are, if you need to know the numbers, visit Mulago Cancer Institute.
I have been there a number of times, but you may wish to share with us, especially those viewing us from home who may not be in position to visit
Yes,
Mulago
I've told
today.
you that 71% of lung cancer is attributable to tobacco use. 75% of oral cancer in Mulago is attributable to chewing tobacco. 75%. Meaning, what it means is that in terms of risk, if people were not smoking in Uganda, oral cancer would be reduced by 75%. Because the moment you remove a risk factor, you significantly and positively impact on the disease. You reduce the incidence of that disease because you are reducing the risk factor. So if smoking was controlled, we would control or reduce oral cancer in Uganda by that margin of 75%.
Well, we've got a country that is suffering from how to generate enough income to carry out social services, including and not limited to health services, and for the most part has relied on the tobacco industry as a huge taxpayer to bring in revenues to this country. Doesn't this tobacco control bill punch holes into Uganda's very concerted efforts in raising local revenue?
It does not. In the contrary, it actually will boost the economy in the long run. I will tell you how. You collect money from tobacco taxes, you pass it through Ministry of Finance, through Ministry of Health.
You said let's speak science. Now I want to take you on with regard, let's talk figures here.
Yes.
How much money does for example, in the financial year 2012 to 2013, how much did government get from the tobacco industry?
It is to the range of about 68 billion, to my recollection. But if you want to get the figures, go to finance.
No. Listen, we came here to speak figures and facts, so let's drop them around if we know them.
Yes.
So we collect, using your own figures, 68 billion Ugandan shillings from the tobacco industry per annum.
Yes.
How much is the budget of Ministry of Health?
You should go direct to the issue.
No.
Yes.
Listen, Ponsi, I have done this for the last 15 years. I know how to ask questions. Simply do what you're supposed to do. Answer the questions. How much is the budget of Ministry of Health?
Over 300 billion.
Very good. So you want to tell me that 68 billion as a contribution into the government forces, coffers, is a drop in the ocean and therefore that should be pushed out?
It is a drop in the ocean because you get 68 billion from tobacco taxes. You spend 102 billion on the Cancer Institute to treat the victims.
Please, Ponsi, stop telling lies on morning TV here. People who are languishing in the Cancer Institute here will look at you in the face and cannot imagine how 102 billion shillings has been sent on that dilapidated structure without any facilities in there. It is not true, and you know it. You know it is not true that you spend 106 billion Ugandan shillings on that Cancer Institute. But if that was the case, that Cancer Institute would be the size of John Hopkins Hospital. Why do you drop your figures that you cannot defend?
Of the Cancer Institute is 102 billion.
Listen, where 102 billion shillings has touched, you can see an impact. That dilapidated structure in Mulago has received 102 billion shillings in a year.
Do you know how much it takes to treat one cancer case?
Tell me.
Do you know how much it takes to
Do you
treat
know
one cancer case?
there are people watching us from Arua whose
prince-
lives would never have been the same if it wasn't for the fact that they have engaged in, and for the last so many decades, the growth and sale of tobacco. That the tobacco industry in this country provides them a sure source of income. Now, when you create an environment that removes from them their lifeline, what alternatives are you planting for these people who otherwise act a living from tobacco growth?
If you bother to read the bill impresses upon the government to promote alternative crops.
Well,
we have done.
Why are you putting the
Yes.
cart before the horse? That,
No.
I mean, if you say don't do this, you must at the same time provide an alternative. Don't say don't do this, and I will come back later to tell you what the alternative
And mind
is.
you,
Shouldn't these things go in tandem?
The bill does not say don't grow tobacco. Just go and read the bill.
I have read the bill, and that's the reason why you are here.
The bill does not say don't grow tobacco.
Let me tell you what the bill says that will affect the growth of tobacco.
the bill-
Dr. Ponsi,
the bill-
if you say that tobacco the tobacco companies will not advertise, if you say that the tobacco companies will not label their brands and know this is Rex from Sportsman, from Supermatch, from whatever it is, Dunhill, and call it whatever you want to call it, if you say that these tobacco companies will not engage in corporate social responsibility, which is a sine qua non of any sober company. If you say that indeed people should be banned from smoking in nightclubs, in bars, in hotels, aren't you in essence killing this softly as an industry?
Actually, the truth is that we would want Ugandans to prepare themselves to gradually shift from tobacco business
So wait a minute.
to better economically
Very interesting.
viable
Now,
business.
Ponsi.
Reason.
Ponsi, no, I've seen your reasons, but let me ask you. You would want Ugandans to prepare themselves into an alternative from tobacco.
Yes.
Why don't you spend a lot of the money that you are spending on media campaigns as a tobacco lobby, anti-tobacco lobby center to prepare Ugandans and offer them that alternative? Why do you want them to prepare themselves, yet at the same time you're removing from them directly their source of income?
But the
and keep putting the horse before the cart?
alternatives are already in place. We have visited farmers in Arua. We have visited farmers in Kanungu. Farmers on their own, having realized the dangers of tobacco. There is a disease called green leaf disease. And this disease affects people who handle tobacco because tobacco penetrates the skin directly. So farmers having realized that tobacco has a lot of health effects, and having realized that in their midst, they are viable alternative crops.
Dr.
Farmers
Ponsi,
on their own.
I have spoken.
Let
I have
me
spoken.
first explain.
I have spoken.
Farmers
We
on
don't
their
have all
own.
day. I have
Farmers on their
spoken to
own
farmers
have
in this country in
to
tobacco.
alternative crops.
That is certainly not entirely true. I know farmers who are cutting cane in Kachira, who of course tell you that there are adverse effects of cutting cane. For you to be able to make an omelette, you must break some eggs. I always argue here. To what extent are you saying that the adverse effects of tobacco, if at all, will not be gotten from the other alternatives? What alternatives, for example, are you providing to a farmer in Arua whose livelihood has been around and about tobacco, who the tobacco industry provides incentives, who they give loans that have no interest whatsoever, who they give external agricultural advisory services, subsidizing on government's failed NADS program, and all the others? What are you telling these people to do other than what they have always known?
We are telling farmers the following. We are telling farmers that tobacco is very harmful to their health.
That I'm sure they know.
We are telling farmers. Two, we are telling farmers.
And so is sweet potatoes if eaten in huge quantities. So is chips and chicken.
The degree of danger.
I can tell you that the biggest problem facing Uganda, and which by the way you should put your eye on very clearly, is not so much about smoking. It's about obesity and lifestyle diseases that has nothing to do with smoking.
And for your information,
please
tobacco is a cross-cutting risk factor for all the lifestyle diseases, including diabetes, including cancers, including heart diseases. So
that's why I asked you cynically and said, is tobacco smoking related to the increasing cases of cervical cancer?
Yes, there is a relationship.
Is there a correlation between tobacco use and prostate cancer? If that was the case, then women who are living for long times, for the demographics show that people in West Nile live longer than the average Ugandan. Yet that is the place which is the epicenter of tobacco growth. Isn't there a travesty in your findings?
I think,
where do you pick these statistics?
Mr. Kasiati, I am not here to start speculating.
It's not speculating. I'm giving you demographics.
I want to encourage in that discussion where you are saying people who are growing tobacco live longer. I can't engage
I did
in
not
that
say that. I
discussion.
said people in Arua from the demographics of the Bureau of Statistics tell you that they live average longer than the average Ugandan. The problem with me and you here,
And
Dr.
it wouldn't
Ponsi,
be attributed
is that
to
you are
tobacco
dropping
growing.
statistics here gathered by the World Health Organization in places like Indonesia, in places like Burma, and not places in Uganda. I am quoting the Uganda National Bureau of Statistics. So why don't you domesticate your arguments and relate to the Ugandan case? You are talking about this convention that Uganda ratified many years ago. So did the United States of America. So did Britain. So did all these other places.
The United States of America did not ratify that convention.
Listen, do we have a tobacco control bill in these countries that you're talking about?
There is a tobacco control bill in many countries. In USA, in China, in where they regulate smoking. Just go to Kenya, go to Nairobi, go to Kigali. There are bills in Kigali.
Well, I know that in Kenya, they passed that bill, and it is under review now as we speak. It is under review because they realized that they had been misled by an anti-tobacco lobby like yourselves. Listen to me. Just like I listen to you, listen to me. That Kenya has realized that they passed a bill in haste, having been misled by people like yourselves, and are now facing devastating economic consequences. Because in there, the tobacco industry was financing a huge percentage of the national budget.
That is not
What
true.
is the truth?
That is not true. Kenya, they are implementing the bill. If you go to Nairobi,
is it true that there is a review of this bill?
They are designated smoking areas.
Interesting.
The bill can always be.
Very finally.
The bill can always be.
Very finally, Dr.
Reviewing
Ponsi.
a bill does not mean that
National Environmental Management Authority has a law which bans smoking in public. It's not the first that this tobacco control bill is doing. What happened to the implementation of this law?
It was not comprehensive enough.
The little that was there, how much has it been implemented? Because in Uganda, we know ourselves to have an anti-brewing law. You know, brewing in this country is illegal according to the penal code. We know that we have every anti-everything law in this country, but the implementation is always a challenge. To what extent do you think that the tobacco control bill is going to meet the tenets of implementation?
This bill is going to be implemented because it is premised on public health principles, which are aimed at protecting the public. Two, it is comprehensive enough because we have provided for all the provisions as required by the FCTC, which the government of Uganda signed. So the bill of the statutory instrument which was signed in 2004, which came under NEMA, did not have enough provisions to effect the
So why didn't you then, why didn't you present your findings into making
provisions.
robust the NEMA law that's already in place, review it and make it stronger, as opposed to starting up a parallel law? Are we always going to be starting up new laws whenever we realize that previous laws are certainly not as robust as they should be?
We felt it was very important to have a comprehensive law because the NEMA law, for instance, did not have any provision to protect the minors, protect young children from accessing, buying the tobacco. It did not have provisions to prevent
Doesn't it worry you that
advertisement.
Doesn't it worry you, for the most part, that when you try to regulate an industry like this one, you are possibly driving into force a lot of illicit trading, because then you'll get people doing magendo, taking center stage and providing these cigarettes to perhaps even younger people than it ordinarily would have been servicing?
No, this bill will not do that because the bill does not say don't sell tobacco. No, the bill doesn't say, because your argument would be valid if the bill was saying we are banning tobacco sale.
We know that you in the anti-tobacco lobby are not as stupid as you want us to believe that possibly many people think you are. You will not say directly that do not sell cigarettes, but you will put in place little clauses left, right, and say, if you read this bill, it is taking you in a winding road, but the bottom line is you are stifling the ability of bona fide tobacco companies to ply their trade in this country.
No, we are only saying the bill, if you read it, the bill...
I have read it.
The bill aims at majorly, the bill aims at protecting the public from second-hand smoking. Is that bad? The bill aims at, if you are smoking, if I'm in a bar or in a hotel having a meal, somebody should not come and smoke beside me and make my life comfortable.
Well, Dr. Ponsi, I want to believe that where you come, I mean, I am sure.
The public, the bill aims at protecting minors who are the children.
If smoke is an issue here, I would want you to also diversify your efforts into imploring the Ministry of Transport and Works to ensure that we start up a law like that in the UK called the MOT, to ensure that all these smoking cars that are not roadworthy are kicked off the road, because for the most part, an average Ugandan is exposed more to dangerous fumes of carbon monoxide from cars on the street that are not car worthy, as opposed to cigarette smoking. I think this is now a new energy point that you should look into seriously.
But yes, I agree with you. That will be later on. And for that matter, you cannot have a bill for tobacco, for cars, for what? You must have a bill which is focused. This bill is on tobacco use. When we are done with it, we shall move to another pollutant.
Good luck.
Let's first finish this one.
How you prioritize tobacco beyond the increase in cars here is $1 million question that possibly you will explain to us at another time when we get the opportunity to sit. When you come here with better facts and figures that are domesticated, as opposed to dropping left, right, and center figures from the World Health Organization.
We have facts.
That said, we come to the end of our big story this morning. But when we return, it's Simon Says, stay with us. It's always an adage that goes flying around that many people use, which is simply, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Maybe let's use smoke for heat in this. If you can't stand the smoke, get out of the kitchen. So some people have argued. But in this case, looks like the kitchen will now have to run out of the smoke. For the most part, many of you consciously decide to indulge in as many things as you may want to. As they say again, the forbidden fruit tastes sweetest. Now, when you create a regulation, when you create a ban on the use of certain substances that have been here for eons, chances are that rather than regulate or control and avert the health risks around it, you possibly are creating an environment for this vice to go underground and take on an illicit nature. Now, the debate is raging on. The Tobacco Control Bill is before our members of parliament. They are putting it left, right, and center. Of course, against the backdrop that this is an industry that contributes immensely to the development of this country. That we are in a phase in this country where development partners are pulling out aid on the ground of some of the obnoxious laws, or so they call them, that we pass in this country. When we have a Tobacco Control Bill before us that stifles the contribution of the tobacco industry to the general national coffers, to what extent are we able to generate local revenue? All these are questions I'm throwing at you. Any one of us, be you an MP, be you an ordinary Ugandan, or be you a smoker or an anti-smoker, when we have the right answers to those questions, shall we be in position to know what we believe and yearn for this country to take us forward in the course of development? Have a wonderful morning. Let's stay with Morning at NTV as we continue to give you more insightful programming this morning.
NTV, turning on your world.
This is very good. Hope you like this one.
Chris, is this where you and Evelyn have been meeting?
We're going to take them off.
You have to tell Gilbert where. Stop this nonsense. I need you to be honest with me and tell me the truth.
Sorry, you need to pay first, then I can help you.
They told me that then you would kill him. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa abekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagende mu Lukola eyo inakasongola mu Buluri twagende mu Butale babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde parliament muyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo.
Tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteekamu gganduula.
Olina kubeerako kimu.
Beerako kimu.
Kubanga okusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda. Eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina.
Nakulabira Abaganda.
Abaganda baagala kabaka.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
how tugenda okwebaka ekiro yanga mwami omanyi webakeko nange omulundi gw'ogusembayo.
I went to the nurse and asked why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive.
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakwokezza nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza
kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
Do you or don't you like the offer that I made you? We all want to rule over someone. If I'm here, it's not for you, Annabelle. It's for Veronica Dantes.
I'm going to express myself with romantic words that are identical to your beauty.
Continue.
Veronica, I need to tell you that I am a widower.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from, whether on air live on your TV or online, that is youtube.com/NTV Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us. We're still at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. And before the break, Simon Kasiate going at it yet again on the anti-tobacco bill, as we love to say it, or the tobacco control bill. And a couple of your comments on Twitter, which is at Morning at NTV. And Arthur Peter Batwala saying, tobacco is one of the most highly paying commodity in the export market, which raises our tax. MPs should think twice before enacting this bill. And at Kabakoki says, we need someone better, even if he claims he's done this for 15 years. All right. We also,
let me see. All right, your reactions to the interview earlier. Smoking is bad, and if one can live without it, then they should do that. And of course, someone saying, why does Kasiate want his point to be always taken? If one doesn't agree with him, then the person is wrong. Expressing your feelings there. Mabel will be telling us also what you've posted on Facebook in a couple of minutes. But also, of course, we need your feedback. Do you think the tobacco control bill is necessary in this country, given that tobacco is one of the main contributors to our tax base? Is it important or is it not? And I will be sampling some of those comments before this show ends. Well, if you live in your house or you're stuck at your workplace or ready to go for a meeting, here's an update on traffic. Good morning. Right, it's exactly 11 after 8, and let's first start with an update on Chintu Road. If we can have slowly that short, Chintu Road, very steady traffic, very steady. And if you're making your way to MTN or Crescent Towers or the Twin Towers at the presidential offices, or going via Nakuma to the National Theatre, very steady, while some people have chosen to walk to work. Others are driving to work. Border borders, Macarena set up already. A guy on the rooftop right there of the Crescent Towers cleaning. Everyone is going on about their job and doing what they do best. Of course, border borders as usual, trying to make past the cars that are moving slowly. So if you are heading to your office, Chintu Road is one of those roads that you can use. And moving on to some of the pictures that you have sent, Isaac has sent us a picture of Yusuf Lule Road. That is how it looked like about 10 minutes ago. And we also have, he also posted another one of Chintu Road. I think he works around Serena Hotel. And another one around Chintu Road also. So if you are heading your way there or stuck in traffic, maybe on Entebbe Road, Ginger Road, or Wino Market, please send us a picture, and you can also post it or WhatsApp it to 047 16730. That is 047 16730. I'll be back with the HTC moment, but for now, here is Mabel with your birthday wishes. Good morning.
Happy birthday to you, to you.
Well, today morning at NTV, we would like to say happy birthday to Martin Maraka, who works with African Fine Coffees Association. He went to Uganda Matters University. We'd also like to say happy birthday to Adia Kandi, who studied broadcast and digital journalism at Makerere University. Happy birthday. And remember, if you do want us to wish your friend, your loved one a happy birthday, do send an SMS to 6565, or alternatively, you could send us a message on Facebook. This is a picture we took yesterday, and some of your comments, someone is saying, I love the confidence with which Brian slots in the sports topics for discussion. Never mind the fact that he doesn't really follow anything much beyond mediocre Arsenal. And for Mebo, just hang in there. LOL. You guys, I love your show. And but moving on to today's hot topic. Someone says, Kasiate, you're just shouting. Give the doctor a chance to talk. Hey, Kasiate, come on. And Brian Senoga says, how many people die from tobacco daily as compared to those who die from border borders? That's actually quite interesting. And then someone says, my namesake Kasiate, save the doctor. You have surely engaged him, but the doctor has a point. Tobacco use must be controlled seriously. And to some other messages here, someone saying, people People slating Simon should get serious. The interactive style of the big story means the host and the guest are going to have a back and forth kind of interview. If you have watched BBC's Hard Talk, you would appreciate what Simon Kasiate is doing. Kudos, Simon. And then someone says here, I think the doctor and members of parliament will have made the best decision to pass the bill. Marijuana is more profitable than tobacco, but it's not allowed in Uganda. So please go ahead. And then Simon, you're so tough. You make Larry King of NTV a sleepy panelist. A sleepy panelist can run away from. And then someone says, morning at NTV, we have seen bills and bills from homo to porno and now tobacco. Where is the corruption bill? Well, hopefully that corruption bill will be coming sometime soon. Go, Simon, that's no way to interview a person. Have some manners. Don't show people how ignorant you are by showing that you know a lot when you actually know nothing. Interesting there. And yeah, Ahumuza Ivy says, morning, Brian and Mabel, thanks for the show. Keep rocking the city. Good morning. And Johnson says, sincerely, we are tired of people who smoke publicly. How I wish it could be a death penalty for them. This bill should be passed and the above mentioned clause inserted. Those people can seriously nag. And we shall now return to Brian with today's HTC moment.
We started with the goal of bringing the power of computing into the hands of people around the world. From the beginning, we were designing many of the world's first touch and wireless handheld devices. Reaching out to our partners and setting no limits on innovation, we produced one of the most popular touch experience devices of the time. We were building smartphones before the term smartphone even existed. We then set out to make the most versatile smartphones, including ones that let you use either a touchscreen or a keyboard. We saw the potential of 3G early on and introduced the world's first 3G Windows mobile smartphone. We changed the way you use your fingers. Based on our research into gestures, we gave you the intuitive and easy-to-use HTC Touch. We then announced a new way for you to experience the internet with the world's first Google Android smartphone. To give you the most personal experience, we introduced HTC Sense, a user experience that fundamentally changes the way you use your phone by making things work the way you expect them to. We once more revolutionized the industry by launching the world's first 4G Android smartphone. We integrated Beats audio into our phones to deliver the most authentic sound experience, enabling people to finally feel the music the way the artist intended. We created a one-of-a-kind phone with an amazing camera that outperforms most point-and-shoot varieties. Most recently, we once again set the industry ablaze with the new HTC One. Critics have hailed the new One with its full metal body design, a live home screen, photos that come to life, and dual frontal speakers as the best Android phone of the year. Curiosity and ingenuity have defined our history, and we're recognized by the industry as one of the world's most innovative brands. We've come a long way, but one thing hasn't changed. It's people like you that inspire us to create the most innovative products in a world that becomes more connected every day.
All right, a very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. 19 after 8. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyday Life, powered by HTC. Quietly brilliant, and I'm telling you, this phone is a monster. Some of the other models are quite smaller, like the HTC Desire 300, the 200, the 500, the 600. This is the biggest. HTC One Max, and I own this, and I'm telling you, I'm becoming born again from some of the other phones that have been on. This thing is Goliath, for lack of a better word. And if you own a tiki, I don't know what you're up to. Head over to the HTC Hub at the Forest Mall and grab yourself a model. Now, a very awesome revelation this morning, that while the camera of the HTC may be 4 megapixel or 6 megapixel, it has what we call the nanotechnology. Now, nanotechnology makes that 16 times more than so it's 16 by 4. That's about about 64 times. So the camera ends up having about 64 megapixels in essence. The camera, its picture is more clear than anything. So you can compare it to the Canon, the Nikon cameras, stuff that is built for high-end photography, and you can do this. I told you earlier that this thing does full HD filming, and I did a memory lane last week using this camera. Very clear picture. So some of my producer is saying, wow, watch a maneno. I'll bring this video tomorrow and you watch it. And remember, HTC proudly brings you everyday life. And some of you have been asking, how can we win these phones? Simple. Very simple questions that you need to answer. And I'll ask you to get your pen and your phone ready. And but you guys have given you these things, and I feel like I'm cheating. But since we love you, okay, let's give you. The first question. Name one of the many unique features that the HTC One Max has. Question number 2, what time does Soul Moment air? Question number 3, who does Brian and Mabel host the sports segment with? And question number 4, what is the duration of Fit and Fab? I'll just go through this one more time. Name any one of the unique features that the HTC One Max has. Question number 2, what time does Soul Moment air? Question number 3, who does Brian and Mabel host a sports segment with? And question number 4, what is the duration of Fit and Fab? Send those answers in the correct order, and of course, your name to 6565. Good luck to the winners. Now, today on Everyday Life, we're going to look at something that involves establishing specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-targeted goals. Coming up on Everyday Life.
It's the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you see at night. It stresses you out. It calms you down. It helps you remember. It helps you forget. It keeps you connected. It's the only thing you own that is always within an arm's reach. Which is why you don't need to get a phone. You need a phone that gets you. And you. And you. And we are HTC.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
It's after 8. Good morning, Humphrey. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brian.
You're probably one of the tallest men I've ever seen.
No, I'm not that tall.
Yeah.
Just 6 feet. 3 inches, give and take.
6'3".
Yeah.
Did you play basketball?
Yeah, just a little bit. When I was in primary school, I'm ashamed to say this, I actually dropped out somewhere around secondary school.
What happened?
I think the books. Let's blame the books for today.
You graduated, but you did sciences, right?
Yes, I did. I did sciences. My first degree is a Bachelor of Science in Geology, Chemistry and Mathematics.
What's that?
What's that? That was my first question when I went to university. What am I going to learn? Right. Geology is about rocks, basically.
All right.
And they end up in the mining sector and all that. But I didn't go that end.
Hey.
Yeah, I decided to go and do other things. I joined an international NGO doing basically motivation, discipleship, mentoring, and then went on to study a postgraduate in human resource management because my desire has always been to add value to people.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's take a quick look at Humphrey's profile. When we come back, we'll get right into a discussion of how you can rightly set your goals. Excellence Center.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
The Excellence Center was my dream. I always wanted a place where I could be able to add value to people. And what we do basically is leadership and management consultancy. We do motivational talks, team building events, corporate training, and human resource consultancy.
Right.
Because I've always believed that, you know, every person is worth of a chance, okay? It doesn't matter where you've been or where you are. If you have the right people along the way, encouraging you, mentoring you, you know, being your cheerleaders, you can make it to your destiny. You can make it to live a purpose-filled life.
I think someone says the sky is then the stepping stone.
The sky is just the beginning. It's not the limit. It's no longer the limit.
Right.
It's just the floor. Then you carry on from there.
Well, that's a very good perspective. At the beginning of the year, we're excited. We see the fireworks. Maybe at the Serena or Sheraton, we're like, yes.
Yes.
Then we sit down and say, this year, I'm going to do all this. We do the 10-point program.
Yes.
Before Easter, things, you look back and you're like, I've not even started on 2. Where do things go wrong? Do we not know how to set our goals right?
Brian, that's a brilliant question. Where do things go wrong? Things go wrong first and foremost in setting too many goals. So somebody has 10, 15 goals. How do you even keep track of those?
Is it wrong to be that ambitious?
Well, bite what you can chew. Take 2, 3 goals, do them really well. Okay, and then at the end of that season, take another 2, 3 and do them really, really well. So sometimes we try to bite too much. Secondly, we set the goals and we leave them as a pie in the sky. Instead of setting up habits, daily habits that lead us towards that goal. I'll give you an example. If I want to lose weight, okay, I set a goal at the beginning of the year that this year I'm going to lose weight. Good goal. However, it needs to be, you mentioned, smart. So, how many kilograms do I want to lose? And how am I going to do that? So how often am I going to go, say, gymming? Or how often am I going to watch what I eat and things of that nature? So an individual needs to form habits that are going to move them closer on a daily to that goal. So the goal is not just something you're looking at the end of the year, but it is something that you know you're working on daily. And you're taking small steps. One day you'll fail, that's okay. Tomorrow you get up and you keep on with your goal. So that by Easter, you can look back and say, you know what? I decided to lose weight, and I have come this far. By the end of the year, if I continue slowly by slowly, I'll get there. So I think the disconnect usually is setting up those habits. And then the third thing that usually is a disconnect is we do not have accountability. So when I set a goal in my own house by myself, you know, and thinking to myself, and you know, maybe I write it down somewhere in a notebook and maybe forget about it. How about if I had a friend? People have these, you know, friends, BFFs, all those kinds of things. Somebody you can tell, you know what, hold me accountable to this. And along the way, they keep checking. So how are you doing on the other one? You said you want to be a saver this year. How much have you saved so far?
Yes.
Those tough questions. That person who has the ability to ask you tough questions that nobody else will ask. And then you'll be able to say to them, you know what, I'm actually not doing well. Thank you for reminding me. Let me get back to it.
Right.
I think if we did those 3 things, then by Easter we'll find ourselves on the way. At the end of the year, we'll be able to look back and say, yeah, this was worth it.
Does it help if you write?
Yes, it does.
Because, you know, like for me, I have a goal this year.
Let's hear this one. I want to know how far you're doing.
Okay, this year I want to build a home for my family.
Very good.
And of course that one will never get out of my head.
Yes.
It's that big.
Yes.
But then, you know, will it help, say, if, okay, before I get to building the home, have to buy the land and all that stuff. Will it help if I write it somewhere and every day I look at it? Does it help me?
Definitely, it does help. I'll tell you, you've given an example of building a home. Let me use that. If you want to build a house, you need architectural plans. Try building without architectural plans and see how far you'll go. Okay? But when you have something in writing, something drawn, something that is a reminder, something that you refer to, that you can change here and there, you know, that picture by itself, it is a picture of a preferred future. And you work towards that with everything in you. Okay, so it does help to write down. And when we write down, some people say, you know what, if it does not work out on paper, it will never work out physically. Okay, So you work it out on paper. You do your budget. You say, okay, this is how much I am earning. This is how much I need to set aside for the bills, for transport, for this. This is how much I need to set aside for this building project. Okay, will I have enough money to buy the land? Will I have enough money to buy the first root of bricks? First of all, how much do bricks cost? All those things, you do them on paper. So that after it has worked out there, then you can hit the ground knowing, you know what, I think I can do this. And when you get into trouble, you still come back and refer. You come back and check, okay, where could I have gone wrong? You make the adjustments. It's okay to make mid-course adjustments. It's okay to reach today, you know, and say the goals I set at the beginning of the year, I'm not able to achieve them. You know what? Let me set new ones. It's never too late. Don't wait till...
It's okay to make mistakes on the goals.
Yes.
Because that's where some of us get it wrong. You know, you set up a goal and then thing jams and you're like, oh my, yeah. Let me cheer.
No. You know, it is good to get the thing right the first time, but it does not always happen that way. It's okay to reach a point and say, this has failed, okay? Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's rethink through the process. What did I do wrong? What can I learn from this? Because you see, success is not the absence of failure. Success is rising up every time you fail and say, you know what? I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to give life the very best that I can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm told about the SMART technique.
Yes.
And it helps a lot in this. How do you apply that?
Okay, the SMART technique, basically, SMART stands for an acronym that represents specific. Goals must be specific. Don't put amorphous goals, or I'm hoping to the one I used earlier, I'm hoping to lose weight. How much weight? Okay. Measurable. Goals should be measurable, because you can never manage what you can't measure. As long as you cannot measure something, you can't manage it.
Is it measuring the success,
exactly. And being able to see, this is how far I have come. And being able to know, you know what, this is not working, maybe I change here. Okay, need to be able to measure. Attainable. Some goals are fine, they are goals, but they are way out there. Okay, they are way out there. Oh, I'm hoping to win Idols this year. Seriously, I can't sing. I have a moving voice. When I sing, people move away. There is no way. It's never going to happen. That is just unattainable. Okay,
you must be realistic.
Exactly. You need to be able, and you need to put your feet on the ground,
right,
to see these are my limitations. Okay, this is what I'm working with. Of course, not constraining yourself. Dream big. Okay, it's good to dream big, but also it is good to be real, because many people sometimes have this hot air faith, and you're thinking, you know, of things that are way out there. How about the things that are within your reach? And it must be time bound. Within what time? Within what time are you hoping to achieve this? Right. Okay, so that at the end of that time you can look back and evaluate. Because Socrates is the one who said, an unevaluated life is not worth living. If you cannot take time to stop and look back and say, how am I doing? How far have I come? Then it is not worth living.
Humphrey, the man in Kiseka Market.
Yes.
We know Market. Yeah. Does not know Socrates, first of all.
Doesn't need to know him.
There's another man, what is he called? Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar.
He will never know those people.
Steve Covey.
Those men.
Yes.
You know, even some of us who are educated,
true,
are hearing, you know, about them for the very first time. How do you help such a man make realistic goals? How do they achieve them?
Okay. Well, one, they don't need to know those men, because all that those people are doing is come up, you know, putting into writing some timeless principles. They are not the ones who invented these principles, but these are principles that we learn. These are principles that we experience day to day. And so what needs to happen is this: for us who are in this business, are available. We're available to sit with individuals and say, okay, what do you want to achieve? And how are you going to achieve it? And how do we walk with you along the journey as cheerleaders to make sure that you get to that goal that you intended to achieve? Okay? But then also, whoever is out there and is wondering, so where do I start from? Start from where you are. Start from where you are. Just say to yourself, okay, this is my life. Where do I want to be 1 year from now? Where do I want to be 5 years from today? Where do I want to be 30 years from today? When you decide where you want to be, you have a clear picture of where you want to go. Then you start the journey there.
Right.
Instead of living life by default, let us see what happens.
Whatever happens tomorrow,
No.
Right.
You can live life by design. How? Have a picture of what you want to be, where you want to go, where you want to take your business, where you want to take your marriage or your relationship, where you want to take your work, where you want to take your career, your children. Where are you headed? You know, we usually joke with people who are not married that, you know what, if that gentleman who is trying to, you know, suit you or things like that does not have a vision of that relationship, get out of it. Where are you headed? To gain devil gains. Let's go.
Let us build the plane while flying.
No.
Yeah, it kind of helps sometimes.
Prepare for impact.
Doesn't that limit you? You know, you've said, I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to buy a Benz.
Yes.
And if that money never comes, you keep walking. Don't these goals sometimes put you in a fix and you're like
in a box?
Siva or Paka.
Well, it is good to focus. It's good to live a life of focus, because if you focus on nothing, you usually hit it. Nothing. But if you focus on something and you work at it, you will, with time, hit it. So it is okay to have that focus. It's okay to be able to say, this is what I want to achieve, and you go at it. And as you go at it, if you do not hit it, okay, it does not hurt for you to stop, evaluate, and try again, and keep going at it.
Right.
Okay? Right. Rome was not built in one day. We keep trying. You get up again and you keep going at it. So it is fine for you to, you know, it's not limiting, it's just focusing. And there is nothing wrong with focus.
Well, I'm with Humphrey Asima, and this morning while I'm asking the questions, I'm also being inspired a lot. And as a motivational speaker from the Excellent Center.
Yes, the Excellence Center.
The Excellence Center. And you can post your questions on our Facebook page or tweet us at morning@ntv. And is still here with us, looking at some of what we should do to make sure that we set attainable goals. Someone told me also that you need to set goals that motivate you.
True.
How does that work?
You need a goal that will get you up in the morning. You need a goal that will get you going. A goal that you'll say to yourself, you know what, this one is worth dying for. This one is worth, you know, die trying. Keep going. Not one that will bore the living daylights out of you. And you know a goal that will bore the living daylights out of you? A really low goal. A goal that is very, very low. A goal that is not going to exert you. A goal that is not going to cause you to think and try and, you know, seek for help, network, put together resources and all those kinds of things, especially goals that are usually within our reach. Those ones are mundane, boring. That is not even really a goal. That is, get up and do it and get on with life.
You don't have, it's not grand.
It is not. It's not one of those things that gets your blood boiling, because you see, we are all made for purpose.
Yes.
We are all designed for a purpose, and the purpose is usually bigger than we are. As long as it is something within our grasp, something as small as we are, then that is not something that keeps us, you know, motivated and wanting to carry on with life.
Right. Yeah. I guess that some people want it, you know, to be very comfortable. Some goals in you might to be attained harm. When you know, when you can easily
get to it. Yeah.
If you go for a goal that is very hard to get, don't you get frustrated?
Okay, you can't get frustrated, that is true. If it is way out of your league, if it is something that you keep trying and 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 you cannot, and you just can't hit it, okay? Yes, it can get frustrating. That is the reason as to why you need, you know, we talked about those accountability partners. Those people who ask you the tough questions. Those people who will ask you, really, are you sure about this? Are you sure that this is something that you can achieve? Are you sure that, you know, this is something that is beneficial, okay? The other thing that I need to add in here is that a goal must be something that benefits you and benefits humanity. Yes. Not something that is just there for, you know, serenity's sake. It must be something that, you know, is at the end of it all, there will be people who will look back and benefit. People who will look back and be like, yeah, this is, so-and-so did this.
Right.
So yes, comfort is okay. Comfort is good. But, you know, we're not built for that. We're built for a purpose.
For comfort.
We're not built for just sitting back and let's see where this goes. You know, I'm comfortable, I'm okay, I'm in my own quiet, small way. We're built for grand things. And in each and every one of us, we have the potential to achieve more than we can ever imagine.
Right.
And the only way we are going to do that is by setting these lofty goals and working at them.
Right.
And working at them every day, a habit that moves you closer, that moves you closer to that goal. You'll get there. And when you get there, you'll be able to look back and say it was really a life worth living.
Right. Yeah. I think a friend of mine, Solange, says sleeping is for the dead. So, so don't sleep, on your goals. Yes, things have failed. You do not know how many grand plans I have, but you wake up and you're like, Banangi, this is going to be another frustrating day.
Brian, you're in good company.
Yeah, I have some people who will ask me, how far are we? And I even feel embarrassed to tell them we are not there yet. So they kind of keep me on my toes. This morning we're looking at goal setting, and sometimes it's very bad when you have so much to talk about and the time is running out. Humphrey will definitely call you back.
Thank you.
And I think next time you'll come and we'll talk about procrastination.
Yes.
Because that's something that most people have. I personally have it, and sometimes it affects the way I do my work. And while when I'm on TV, everyone is like, whoa, but in the back there's a lot of stuff I've not done. and I think many managers are like that.
Very true. We'll do it tomorrow.
Yes, we'll do it tomorrow.
When we get to it.
Many people at their workplaces have failed to get those promotions because they procrastinate a lot of tasks. And so we'll be looking at that next time on the show. But please feel free to send that feedback on our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. We'll get Humphrey to get onto that page and answer your questions. I know Doreen has answered your questions. Rukshan has answered those questions for you. So please keep the feedback coming. Next week, I'm also going to talk about something awesome. Next Tuesday, I can't wait. We're going to look at failing forward. That's a very good concept, right?
Yes.
Failing forward.
Yeah.
We'll teach you how to... I was not going to say fail forward. That was weird.
But if you had to fail forward.
You'd rather fail forward
instead of backward.
Backwards. We'll look at that next week. So with a very fiery, inspirational motivator. But there's Isma standing by with the sports. Good morning, Isma.
Good morning, Brian. And this morning I had to change a bit of my time zones in order to watch Rafael Nadal against Alexander Dolgopolov. And I'll tell you that the world #1 lost. But when we get back to the sport, we'll talk about the Africa cross country. There's a bit of Formula 1 and also something that Mabel and Brian will be very interested in. Arsenal at the Allianz Arena this morning. When Mabel and Brian join me, that and more in sport.
Well, we'll be talking, of course, Formula 1 and Arsenal and more in a couple of minutes. Rose Namubiru on Facebook saying that Humphrey guy is just amazing. He's a real diplomat. All right, we'll take diplomacy next week and talk more about failing forward. But for now, stay with us. Good morning.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
NTV, turning on your world.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Destiny River.
That's it. Either Solano comes here and talks to me, or there's no deal.
You can't just leave. No way.
Oh, I can't? And what could stop me?
And I doubt it'll happen, even with the invitations.
And why do you say this, Grandma?
Oh, come on, Solano. Come on.
Destiny River.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange. At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase, so you can get emergency airtime and make that important call when you have to, and pay back with a small service fee the next time you recharge. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange. Running out of airtime can happen to anyone the next time you recharge. Simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
Do you or don't you like the offer that I made you?
We all want to rule over someone. If I'm here, it's not for you, Annabelle. It's for Veronica Dantes.
I'm going to express myself with romantic words that are identical to your beauty.
Continue.
Veronica, I need to tell you that I am a widower.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
14 minutes on to 9 o'clock, and we're still at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. And of course, before the break, we're looking at a fiery, amazing, inspirational guy, Humphrey Asime, director at the Excellence Center. Your comment or suggestion on our Facebook page, Twitter, and of course the SMS platform to 6565. What an inspiration. Definitely, you need to set goals that are achievable and attainable. Don't just set balloon things, you know. Like if you're Manchester United, you can't say you want Champions League. it's out of your reach. If you're Mugula, don't say you have to be the national champion because Golola is.
And if you're Arsenal, don't say you're going to beat Arsenal.
Oh, why?
You're going to beat Bayern.
Those are attainable. It has happened. Isma joining us for a sports update this morning. Good morning, Isma.
Good morning,
how are you?
Brian. Good morning, Mabel.
Morning, Isma.
Mabel looking dapper. You usually...
Actually, El Simu has said he's going to bring me more pink. Apparently, pink is my favorite color.
Is it?
So, yeah, he sent a tweet.
Is that why you have a red pen? Because it's
red pens are for teachers.
Yeah.
CRE teachers. All right, let's talk golf. And upon the completion of the national team trials, 21 golfers were chosen last week. Who is in? Who is out? And also, what do these what competitions lie ahead of the group?
First of all, the captain, Philip Cassos, wasn't part of the national team trials because he had been playing the Kenya Pro-Am, the Barclays Kenya Pro-Am Open. So he comes back into the side. And Adolf Muhomuza, by the way, won the national team qualifiers after the 4 days, where they had to play in Entebbe and then play at the Chitante Par 72 golf course there. But I think for all the 21 or 22 golfers in this one, while Dewa Kope is going to be choosing the team, they know they have a very long year ahead because they have to play in the Zone 6 championships where they will play countries like Zimbabwe, like South Africa, like Kenya, Zambia, Namibia, who are often much stronger than the Ugandan team. And also they have to play in the East Africa Nations Challenge. That is probably much easier. And this time, many times they've tried to go and win this in Kenya and win it in Rwanda. Now this time the Uganda is going to the East Africa Nations Challenge. That also comes up later this year. And there's also the All Africa Junior Championships, for the golfers. So quite a busy year ahead for them, and I like the fact that for the Uganda Golf Club president, Mr. Sevide Chirio Wachiwanuka, said something about he wants all the golfers to be in camp for about a month, training, working together, and also did manage to give them membership to all the golf clubs across Uganda throughout the year. You don't have to pay anything. If you're, for example, if you travel to Fort Portal for the weekend, don't say you can't play because you're not a member of Toro Golf Club. The moment you're on the national team, you'll go and play in Toro, you'll play in Jinja, you'll play in Entebbe, you'll play in Chitante.
Right.
Without having to pay any kind of membership. So I think that's
very good.
That's very good, I think, for all the players to keep them very busy, knowing that Uganda, probably they really, I think the target for me is trying to improve their stand in the Zone 6 Championship. That's where, when Zambia and Zimbabwe come into this, that's when the real competition is much stiffer than playing the East African Nations Challenge.
It's interesting that you even, like for me, I personally, I'm thinking, why do they have even to get membership? That would automatically qualify them to play on any golf.
Yeah, and golf is that kind of sport that I remember a few years ago hearing a story of how, for example, the Augusta National in the US, where the Masters are hosted, they only had their first female member, and that was Condoleezza Rice, the former national security advisor for.
And that's because she was.
And at the time in the US, for example, they had banned. They were not registering women in golf clubs. They were never members. And this was the first. Condoleezza Rice was among the first. I think it's important because they need most of these golf clubs, while in Uganda, for example, they are owned by the government, is that they are privately run. And the only way they are going to sustain the golf club, for example, a basic thing like watering it, they're going to need money from the members to sustain it. This kind of thing needs people to pay money. And right now across the world, including Uganda, there are so many private golf courses coming up. There is one, for example, in the Arkwright Estate in Kakulu, the one that is owned by Amos Nzei.
Yes.
And then there are several others. If you go to Kenya, there are several of them. About 4 of them now that are going down that route. So when something is privately owned, then there's going to be money involved. There's always going to be money involved.
You have to pay.
You have to pay.
It's quite expensive.
Yeah, it's quite expensive to be a member, but I think it's worth it, the number of tournaments you can play. And golf is one sport that I know that you can play until you're 70, and that's a good thing. Right. I see Tom Watson, I think, won the Masters back in 1984, way back, and he's still playing. And I saw him a few years ago trying to win the Masters again, the former American Ryder Cup captain. So you can see, it's one sport that if you paid now, you would be involved until probably you're 75. I know one golfer who was playing, for example, with Dr. Milton Obote during the Obote 1 regime. I think it's called Mr. Absalom. The second name just skips because we all know how to call him Absalom. But he's been playing golf since the 60s and he's still there.
Well, this year I want to learn some golf. I think that's one of the...
Is it achievable?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because on Wednesday.
Because my boss, Agi Konde, will put membership. All right, moving on.
Well, the Africa Cross Champions, the team returns from Buko later on today, and ahead of the event that will be taking place in Kololo this Sunday. Is there a chance, or are we going to gift medals to the Kenyans as we usually do?
The Kenyans have been the most dominant team in the cross-country running, and that's because in the long-distance races, Kenya and Ethiopia are the dominant teams in Africa. For me, when this team was first chosen and Moses Kipsiro handed the captaincy and the leadership and the name that everyone is going to look out for, I'd love to see what the junior men and the junior women are going to do in the competition. That's one way of looking at it. And the selection is not done that I'll call you because you're my brother and come to the team. All of these people went through a selection process that included the half marathon, the national marathon, the half marathon that took place in Jinja, the cross-country championship that took place in Jinja where Moses Kipsiro won. So everyone selected on this team is not out of a favor. That's one thing. But then, like Uganda would go, there's a bit of organization hitch because I saw in the media yesterday that they were supposed to have received 903 million shillings promised by the president to help in the organization. But because of bureaucracy that goes into government things, while the money was budgeted for, it hasn't been released yet. And government money does not just come when you want it. I think it comes in quarters, something like that from the Minister of Finance. So the athletes are going to go in without the allowances. I think the Uganda Athletics Federation are going to have to borrow a bit of money from here and there, from loan sharks just to facilitate the team and make sure that everyone goes into the competition right here in Kololo where we are used to seeing so many different things. I'd love to go there on Sunday and see something different, because normally when you go to Kololo, it's we're all used to all these gun-wielding men and the security cordon because there's a national function happening. So this time to go there for athletics is, for me, it's got to be a good thing. But people are going to go there. The athletes won't have their allowances paid. I bet they won't be paid by Sunday unless there's a loan shark like Brian who can go and lend UF a bit of money and promise them that the Minister of Education are supposed to release it much later. So that's for me the only worry. But in terms of preparation, I think this has been as prepared as the Uganda team will ever be.
Right. Well, hope you've seen some of the names up for Team Uganda, and let's go there and support our men. A quick comment on one of the richest sports in the world, and that is Formula One. But the debate in the pit lane is not the four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, but his car.
Yeah.
What do we see ahead of the opener in Australia?
First of all, I think one of the things that I thought would be would dominate the start of this season would have been whether Vettel can go and win 5 in a row. And I'm one who, when first saw him race, I thought he had a very good chance of going to go and win 7 world titles like Michael Schumacher did. And when he had just come into Formula 1, he was called Baby Show Me, and for a reason, because I thought it was going to be the next Schumacher. Now, throughout the month of testing, Sebastian Vettel's car cannot finish races. Now that's a big worry for Red Bull.
Right.
They've been doing so badly. Now the other point of discussion for me has also been when Bernie Ecclestone, the Formula 1 Supremo, did propose that they double the number of points given out for the final 3 races to raise the amount of competition. Eventually this was shelved by all the teams. It didn't pass. But it would have been a very bad precedent for Formula 1 if the final 3 races are considered more important than winning in Australia or than winning all the other races that come early in the season. Would have been very bad for Formula 1. No winning in Japan or China, all the other races would have been extremely unfortunate. Luckily, that didn't pass. And then the other one, I think while the shine has been taken off Red Bull, one, because of the car, 2, is that Mercedes have been doing well. I know the British with their Lewis Hamilton. Their car's done very well in the practice. And then the third one should be Ferrari. The moment they went and signed Kimi Raikkonen at the end of last year and then have 2 very competitive drivers in Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso, the sport it was definitely going to shift. But the bigger, I think, at the start of the season is that Red Bull car. Extremely unreliable. They barely completed a lap during the month of practice, and they'll go to Australia on Sunday with no one giving Sebastian Vettel a chance. And it's extremely unfortunate for a guy who has been 4-time world champion in 4 years.
Right.
It's extremely unfortunate for him.
Well, let's see what plays out. But of course, the odds are for Louis this time. Surely.
Yeah, everything is ready for Lewis Hamilton.
Yes,
winning his 2nd world title.
Okay. Thank you so much for your Facebook messages. So many people having a go at you for your love of Arsenal. What's your chance, Brian? What chance are you giving Arsenal tonight? Before we go to Mr. Dakaba. Bayern Munich, Arsenal.
I actually am very optimistic tonight. It was very good that we
Everton.
won. We beat Everton. I think such wins are very good for a team ahead of a crash like this. This is I think this is Arsenal's biggest game this season.
Okay.
And I think we might take a 2-0 victory.
Okay, Dakaba.
And that would imply extra time, I think. If Arsenal win 2-0, then the game goes into extra time because Bayern won the first leg by 2 goals to 0. Brian, that would be a minor miracle, I've got to say. While Arsenal have won in Munich before, and they did win there last year by 2 goals to 0, I think that Bayern Munich was coached by a manager with a totally different mindset from Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, I think, for me, is the kind of manager who wants to push people down even when they're already down. Because he's a kind of perfectionist. He just doesn't want to turn anything away. And I look at this Bayern, in terms of stats, they are playing better than last season's Bayern. They've won 16 in the row in the league. They've gone unbeaten in 14. You can all discredit the competition of the Bundesliga, but that's the reality of what Bayern have been. And I see a situation that the biggest scenarios I have about Arsenal is that Arsenal love to play with the ball. Now they won't have it because Bayern will control possession. That's how they play. They are averaging possession that is exceeding about 69%. So how are Arsenal going to get the ball and attack Bayern? For me, that's a big question. But football has many weird stories. I remember several years ago when AC Milan beat up on Deportivo La Coruña in Italy by 4 goals to 1, and then Deportivo won the return leg at home by 4 goals to 0 and advanced. Juan Carlos Varane, the master of that one. I see a situation where Arsenal could probably go and score. But for me, Bayern are going to be too strong. Goals come from all kinds of sources. Ribery's back feet. Robben is down there, so it's going to be a lot of pace coming at the Arsenal
And
wings.
when that guy Müller gets in, I think for me,
Muller always finds the space. Arsenal will probably be played off the park in the midfield. We are all been singing praises of Toni Kroos. I'd love to see them play Javi Martinez at the back because I don't think Jerome Boateng played very well in the first leg. I'm also waiting to see what Arsene Wenger does with it. You remember in the first leg, he went for Yaya Sanogo up front, and that was a big mistake. Big mistake. It's a bit like handing your son a cigarette. That's what Arsene Wenger did. He handed his son a cigarette, and it was totally non-existent at the back. So I'd love to see him change that.
Mose Mark here saying Arsenal may win, but with insufficient goals, which will limit it to the next round. I think we need to score fast. That will give a big boost to the team.
At the Allianz Arena?
But the game is on tonight, and also Atletico is going to play AC Milan. Let's wait. Of course, we'll be talking more tomorrow, and Ismail will probably be telling us what we did wrong. But Bayern Munich looking to win 50 games in a row.
Yeah, go unbeaten in 50.
To go unbeaten in 50 games. We'll see that as it plays out tonight, 10:45 p.m. And yeah, do not tweet me, do not Facebook me unless we are winning. Before we leave you, African proverb coming up. Today's African proverb. Okay. I don't. The thing is disappearing from this thing.
There are too many apps on the HTC.
There are too many apps.
That
wisdom does not come overnight.
Is that for us? No. It's because
I said.
Yeah, I think wisdom is attained over time. It's something. It comes out of probably experience doing the same thing again and again. The more you do something, the more knowledge you acquire, and we acquire it at different rates.
Right.
No one, for example, Mabel can't sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow with the wisdom to do things she's never done.
I'm going to play golf. Watch this space.
You need to have the right shoes first of all. That's a start, because golfers will be miffed at you if you're not wearing the right shoes.
They have to be
white. They could be not necessarily white, but golf shoes are golf shoes.
Right.
Yeah. Like.
Well, I'm telling you, we're going to be on the green, just teeing off, and.
But probably you won't get a chance to tee off because the camera angle to get you at the tee is a bit tough. But probably at the range, probably when you're putting, trying to get to the hole, that'd be much easier. I'm waiting to see triple bogey, quadruple bogey.
We'll be there. We'll be there. All right. Before we leave, a quick sample of your Facebook messages. Some of you are saying people slating Simon that should get serious. The interactive style of the big story means that the host and guests are going to have a back and forth kind of interview. If you watch BBC's Hard Talk, you'd appreciate what Simon Kasiate is doing. Thank you so much, Nathan Mugisha. It's a show of confidence. Thank you. That's what we need. I think the doctor and members of parliament will have made the best decision to pass the bill. Marijuana is more profitable than tobacco, but it's not allowed in Uganda. So please let them go ahead. And of course, someone just posting your African proverb. Will profile it tomorrow. Otherwise, from the rest of the crew, some of the strong women controlling this show, Rosemary on the director, Irene, Downman Mate, we are working some of the most beautiful, hardworking women here. Yeah, bye-bye. Hasta la vista, baby.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase, so you